how's it going, everybody? I'm Jack Hammer. Welcome to tonight's Niner Chatter. Tuesday night, time to get in here and talk a little bit of 49er football. The link should be in the description. I'll go ahead and drop the link here as well in the comment section for those of you that are already online. But thanks, everybody, for tuning in tonight. Let's try to make this a fun Tuesday night show, like always. We're getting right up to it now. In less than 2 weeks, the 49ers are going to be showing up for training camp. Next Thursday, I believe it is, they'll be showing up. And then we're the 27th, so it might even be a week. And then I believe it's the 1st of August, they have their first practice. So it's just right around the corner. Things are going to start getting hot and heavy and a lot of things going on. So it's going to be a lot of fun here pretty soon in 49er land. So let's go ahead and get this party started. Looking at a couple of topics around the 49ers today, you've got down in Los Angeles, the injury bug that always seems to be circling around the 49ers struck pretty hard down in LA today with the news that Rams running back Cam Akers had a ruptured Achilles tendon, so he'll be out for the season. That's going to be a tough break for them. They were expecting, I think, a big season out of him. They do have some younger, some other running backs there. That they have a couple of new running backs that are going to be taken. Will have to fill in his space. It's going to be interesting to see how they make up. I think it was 138 carries that he took for them last year. So he took about a little over a third of their carries in 2020, and they were expecting big things from him. So from reports I saw, they're not looking to add any running backs at this time, but that's a tough break for the Rams. Good news for the 49ers at the same time. Some other 49ers news. We have the things to think about. What do you think of this team? Who do you think is going to be the best rookie in 2021, not named Trey Lance? So who's your breakout starter from that kind of a standpoint? And do you think that Trey Lance is going to start, the season as quarterback one? I know we've heard you see different people with different ideas on this one. I don't know if he's going to be the starter. I'd like to see him be the starter, though, to start the season off. It's going to be a fun quarterback battle to see how he and Jimmy Garoppolo are shaking out. So, looking forward to it. Less than 2 weeks away, and we're getting right down to it. We've already got the folks are lined up. So I'm going to jump in here. The first caller that we're going to go to tonight is I'm going to go to him first, just because he's the one that's staying up the latest. He's all the way out in Wales, and we're going to go to Gavin. He was on with us on Saturday on our special edition. How you doing, Gavin?
What's going on, Jack?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing great, mate. And you?
Good. I'm good.
Yeah, I'm trying to get my camera working. For some reason, I can't access my camera on my laptop for some reason. Next time I come on the show, I'll get my camera working, and we'll have a chat face to face. You will, yeah?
Perfect. That sounds good. Yes.
Right then, let's start then. Right, so I missed the first 30 seconds, right, of the conversation what you was having then. Right, so was you saying about who do we think will be the rookie of the season for us, for the 49ers?
Yeah. Yeah, that was one of them. Who do you think is going to be the best rookie in 2021 for the 49ers outside of Trey Lance? Everybody kind of points to Trey Lance, but if you have somebody other than Trey Lance, or maybe that's who you think is going to be anyway, who do you think will be the best rookie?
It's hands down. It's going to be Trey Sermon.
Okay.
It's going to be Trey Sermon. Right? Yeah, I want to see. I'm interested to see the battle, right, between him and Goldman now, because I think they both sort of play the same role, don't they?
Yeah, I think they're both very similar style of backs and what they bring to the 49ers. So yes, that's a good point right there.
Yeah, so they're going to be battling it out. So Trey Sermon and Goldman are going to be fighting for their jobs. So it's going to be interesting to see, what Sermon can do in his rookie season, especially under the pressure that he's going to be under to deliver as well, I think. But yeah, I definitely think that Trey Sermon is going to come out on fire. And he's going to set the league on fire, I think. I think he's going to have at least 700 yards, I think.
700 yards was your team?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you mean I'm going out there? I'm going out there. I am. Do you mean yes, without a doubt. So right, my first question for you, right, Jack, right, is right now. I want to take out him being arrested the other week, right. So let's just pretend we're in a perfect world that never happened, right. Did we dodge a bullet not re-signing Richard Sherman?
I think so. I think he's at the end of his take out of it and just look at Richard Sherman as the player, and I don't think that he's the player that they need anymore. He doesn't have the speed to keep up with receivers, and so he really limits what you can do on the defensive side of the ball, and that really makes the job of that defensive coordinator rough. And I think that's part of why they were a better defense in 2020 when he was off the field than when he was on the field. Oh, you're muted.
Oh, it wouldn't be me unless I was muted. I'm always muted, Jack. You've seen me on the call and phone, mate. I'm always muted. Yeah, just worked out how to work my camera up. Excuse me, boys. Sorry. But yeah, I totally blame the 2019 Super Bowl. I blame Richard Sherman. Right? I think it was his fault totally. Right, I don't blame Jimmy G. Right, Kyle Shanahan, I suppose I sort of blame as well because he's the head coach, and it all boils down to him. He makes the calls on the pitch. But Richard Sherman was the one who was toasted, right, again and again and again, right. And we had to play zone coverage, and the Chiefs knew what coverage he was playing in the Super Bowl. They knew, right, and they just knew what they were doing. I mean, they just beat him on the outside, get him on the outside, and he can't keep up with it. His legs are gone. He's got no wheels anymore. Do you mean? So, yeah, I totally agree. I think we dodged a bullet as well. And that's notwithstanding all the stuff that's happened in the last week or so. I don't want to go into that too much. Do you mean? But, yeah, I think as a player, we dodged a bullet as well. Definitely, without a shadow of a doubt. Right then, can you predict the captains on the 49ers this season?
The captains on the 49ers this season.
Does it matter who the captains are?
Well, no, it does a little bit, but I think Fred Warner will be a captain, so there's one. Let's go, Fred Warner.
Do you want to list the captains who were captain last season?
Well, I know wasn't Garoppolo one of the captains last season?
Yeah, it's Jimmy G, Kittle, McGlinchey, Trent Williams, Eric Armstead, Richard Sherman, Fred Warner.
Yeah. I think you're going to see Warner get one of them. I would like to see Jimmy Ward get one as well.
He's been on the squad the longest.
Yeah, and then down if you're looking at it for a defensive lineman, I'd say let's go with Nick Bosa as your captain for the defensive line group.
Right.
Your offensive line.
You'd have Bosa over Armstead, even though Bosa's still on his rookie contract.
Yeah, just because I think he's of what he brings to the table. I think that's why I would put him as the captain over Armstead. He's just I understand the age with Armstead and the experience, but I think that Bosa. Well, they probably won't make him the captain, but Bosa would be deserving. Is who I think.
I don't think we should have Bosa as a captain because I don't think he'd be on the pitch enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But carry on.
So, and then as far as the offensive lineman, was it who did you say it was? Was it McGlinchey last year?
McGlinchey, yeah, McWall. I reckon, his name is going to be McWall next season because he's coming out firing. I'm telling you now. I've been saying it for weeks. McWall is coming out firing. He's going to use all that criticism Grant piled against him, right? And he's going to write it down in his notepad. He's got a picture of Grant right here on his local McDonald's walls, and he's just smashing the McDonald's into where he is. And he's like, I'm going to put the weight on for Grant, and he's going to come out and he's going to be a brick wall.
Yeah, well, I think it probably will be McGlinchey. I think it's going to be very similar to like what you said. How you were going with Eric Armstead over Bosa. I think that's kind of how McGlinchey.
Wouldn't you have Trent though? If you can have like position players, wouldn't you rather have Trent Williams as a captain over McWall?
The only reason I would say McGlinchey is because he's been there longer than Williams. But yes, Williams. I don't know if Williams is necessarily boisterous enough or speaks up enough to be a captain necessarily, but given his ability, then he definitely deserves to be because he's probably their best offensive lineman, right? So he deserves it. Trent Williams deserves to be one of the captains.
He's on the most money.
He's making the most. Yep, the most money of any left tackle in the league. Yep, yeah. and then running backs. I go with your guy. I go I go with Juice for the. Yeah, I know you're a big Juice guy. I like him too. I think he's he's hands down the captain out of those guys. And then
he's the voice on the pitch. He's the voice.
Yeah.
He would definitely.
And then do they even have a quarterback as a captain this year? It's really hard. It's really hard to make Jimmy Garoppolo your quarterback if you're not expecting him to be the starter. And it's kind of hard to make
3 picks on Trey Lance. For me,
yeah, and it's hard to do it with Trey Lance if he's a rookie. So that's a good question right there. I don't know. I doubt that. Let's put it this way. Let's say that there's not going to be a quarterback as part of their captains
That's a
this year.
Very bold prediction, that is, Jack, my friend. A very bold. But yes, like I mentioned, I had 2 seconds. I got more questions, but right then, are we short at the cornerback position? So say if Verrett goes down, right? Who have we got to fill in?
Ambry Thomas or Dante Johnson will be your 2 primary guys off the bench. I just had a long conversation last night actually on. I did a show with Surreal Sunil Gatonde from 49ers SI. He started a channel we were on last night talking about this topic, and I think if Verrett goes down, Ambry Thomas is the guy that's going to take his spot. He's going to be. I think he is. I think he's the guy who I know we took him in the 3rd round. The 49ers took him, but I think he was good enough to probably be a 2nd round or maybe a high first. End of the 1st round kind of guy if he had played in 2020. I think he lost a little bit because he didn't play. He had opted out last year, so I think that kind of hurt his draft stock a little bit. So I would say Ambry Thomas, and it's going to probably be Ambry Thomas or Dante Johnson. Those are your top 2 guys I think off the corner.
I don't think they'll be as good as Verrett, though. I think Verrett is outstanding, to be honest. Like when he's fit, there's always when healthy, like when it comes to the 49ers. But
absolutely.
When he's fit, and I think he's definitely a top 10 cornerback. Right then, going full circle back to my original statement. Who's going to have a better season, Wayne Gallman Jr. or Trey Sermon, and why?
Better season. I'm going with Trey Sermon having the better season, and the only reason is because I think he's gonna be the guy that gets the opportunity first because they use that 3rd round draft pick on him. So they're going to try to get him the ball. They're going to try to get him involved. I think he's going to get more carries, I think, than Wayne Gallman. I think they're both going to be really good backs. They're very similar, like you said. That's a really tough matchup with those 2 guys, and it's going to be interesting to see who wins that battle and really takes that role because both those guys are guys that can run through you, and
Gallman has a lot to prove.
He does. He does. And Gallman's shown that he can. The more he gets the ball, the better he is. The more carries he gets in the season, the better he becomes. So that's why I think he's going to him and Sermon. That's going to be an interesting battle to see who wins that because who's going to get become that second kind of main back.
Right. Last question, and before I go, Jack, what have the 49ers done to improve their special teams in the off season?
The special teams, they fixed them a little bit, I think, because you look at what they brought in through the draft and some of the guys that they brought in. I think you take a look at like a guy like Talanoa Hufanga. He's going to be a core special teams guy this year. A guy like Diamador Lenore, he's going to be able to be on. He's going to be out there on special teams. Let's see, Tony Jefferson might be able to be playing some special teams if he's on the out there. So I think I think their special teams is improving because of some of these guys that they brought in that through the draft that might not be necessarily be starters, but they're going to be good special teams guys. Even from the wide receiver position, you've got to kind of look at that as well. Trent Sherfield is a guy who might make the final roster, and he was a special teams ace in Arizona as well. Who's the other one? Juwan Jennings. So those 2 guys might also be, on the special teams and playing over there. So I think that some of these additions they've made have been geared towards also helping them out on special teams.
Oh, that's actually right, giving me a bit of faith, because when I was asking that question, I thought it was all going to be doom and gloom, but they're like, dude, because we suck at special teams. Right? I think what Kyle Shanahan's problem is, right, is he doesn't have any situational awareness. Do you mean he doesn't got, when it comes to situational football, he just hasn't got a Scooby. Do you mean?
Yeah. No, you're right. That's my negative on Kyle Shanahan is the situational football. Kind of just managing the game sometimes gets away from him a little bit, and he gets a little over aggressive. So hopefully, with the way that it looks like they're building the roster this year was to be a little bit more of a ground and pound kind of attack, which really kind of leads you to think that you're going to be seeing a rookie quarterback playing in there, and I think that could possibly help him from being overly aggressive. He might help him to kind of pull back the reins a little bit, and I think really that would help this team in the long run.
Do special teams coaches make better head coaches? Like special team coordinators, sorry.
They definitely have a different view of everything because of where they are. I don't know if they make better head coaches, but there's definitely been a few that have come along and been really successful. John Harbaugh is the one that everybody I think would probably point to. I'm not sure of the other ones. I know there's a couple other ones out there. I know the guy in New York used to be a special teams coach coordinator.
Didn't Bill Belichick was special teams at one point?
I don't think so. Bill Belichick, as far as I know, he might have been really early on in his career, like in the early 80s, but throughout the 80s, he was the defensive coordinator for the New York Giants.
Yeah, I know he's a defensive coordinator, but I'm sure I've read something about him being a special teams coordinator somewhere, but I might be wrong. Do you mean I'm a dumb Brit? What do I know? Do you know what I mean?
He may have been way down early in his career. I think that if you go back, there was that was one of the plays. Isn't that one of the things that Mac Jones did at his pro day, where he did some kind of like goofy like snap thing where they acted like they were doing a fake kick, threw it a touchdown pass to him or something like that? He said that was all about Bill Belichick.
Bill Belichick must have been creaming in his pants over there. Yeah, I got you.
So, yeah, I don't know. I'd have to go. I'd have to actually look that up. But I know. For everything that I know of Bill Belichick was him as a defensive coach with the Giants, and then eventually the head coach.
When it comes to special teams, Bill Belichick dominates the league. When it comes to situational football, do you mean, and he prioritizes special teams as well? Because I used to watch NFL UK right now on the BBC, right? And they got Jason Bell on it, right? So Jason Bell used to play for the Cowboys. Yeah, right. No, he's got a saying, right? Yeah, and I totally believe it, right? Yeah, special teams, special players, right? And I think, right? Yeah, Kyle Shanahan needs to definitely shore up the special teams before next season, because after the last couple of seasons, our special teams have been no way. I'd like to see where our special teams rank in the top 32 over the last since Kyler been there. I'd like to see. You mean?
Yeah, that the special teams is very important. That's one of the things that hurt the 49ers for a long period of time, and it's one of the things that really helped them out back in 2011 and 2012. They had brought in Ted Ginn, and he was their punt returner, and he was a darn good punt returner. He won the first game of the season when they beat the Seahawks that year. Was all about him making a couple of punt returns for touchdowns. So definitely
special players.
Yep. And go back to your Bill Belichick thing. He was a assistant special teams coach. That's partly how he broke into the NFL in 1976 with the Lions. He was an assistant special teams. Who's not a dumb Brit anymore?
Who's not such a dumb Brit, Eddie?
I never called you a dumb.
No, I called myself in, bro.
I know you did. No, he was. That's how he started. He was a special teams coach and defensive assistant for the Giants even when he first started. So when he was a linebackers coach, he was still the special teams coach even up until '84, and that's when he switched over to defensive coordinator. Yep.
So it sort of backs up my theory that special team coordinators actually make better NFL coaches. I saw an article about it a couple of months ago or something. I was reading it, it made sense. It made sense to me. Do you mean? Because situational football, we can win you so many games. Do you mean?
Yeah.
It's like, what would that one play where Belichick just killed the game off at the end? and then what's his name then done the same back to him. Do you mean was he the Jaguars or he's killing the game off. He just killed the game off right in the air. I can't remember exactly what he was doing. Right, I'll get back to you about it, though, Jack, right in the air. Right, I'll come back next week, right in the air, and I'll have all the details about that, right? And I'll tell you why we need better special teams coordinators. Right, I've taken up way too much of your time, right in the air. Right, I absolutely love this show, right? You've got the best fan base in the world, right? And we just want to give a shout out to Shardol before I go, right? He ran me on Discord last night. We had a quick chat, right? Oh, Shardol, if you're listening to this, ring me anytime, bruv. We need to talk, mate. Like, do you know what I mean, right? Right then, Jack, you're an absolute legend, and I love you, right? I'll catch you in a bit, bro, right?
Yep. It's great. And you know what? Chardal's coming up right now, too. So
put him in, yeah.
So try to stay up for a little bit longer here. That's Chardal. How you doing, Chardal? Hey, look at Chardal. You guys got the shades. Look at Chardal with the hat.
I got the shades on for. I got the shades on for Chardal. I have. Yes, he's got game. Look at the game on him.
How you doing, Chardal?
What's up?
Hey, Gavin. I'm gonna. Is it all right if I just go with Chardal?
Kick me out, bro. Yeah, just get me out there. Right, thank you very much. Chardal, you're the goat, Mick. You're the goat.
Have a good one.
Bye, Jack. Okay, I kicked Chardal out.
You got me all mixed up. I'm kicking the wrong guy out now. All right. Hey, Chardal, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, what's up?
How's it going? Look at you. You got the hat on. You got the jersey. You got the shades. You're looking good tonight. You're ready to go.
So my question is what are your thoughts of DeMeco Ryans? And do you think he's doing a great job as the defensive coordinator for the 49ers?
I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do because I remember him as a player and he was always he was one of those guys who was always motivating the team before the practice, before and getting everybody pumped up. And I'm really excited to kind of see what he can do and what he can bring to the 49ers now that he's going to be in that leadership role. It's going to be a lot of fun.
So do you think the San Francisco 49ers should bring back Mike McGlinchey? And do you...
Yeah, well, they made the decision to go ahead and pick up his fifth-year option, which means they're expecting to bring him back for next season. But at the same time, they did that with DeForest Buckner as well, and they ended up trading him. So just because they picked up his fifth-year option doesn't necessarily mean he'll be back. So he'll definitely be here in 2021, and we'll have to wait and see what happens for 2022.
Which three rookies do you think will perform well for the 49ers in 2020 in the upcoming season?
I agree with what Gavin said. Trey Sermon is definitely one of the top guys. I'm really looking forward to watching him run the ball. He was the one that I was most excited about when they drafted him. I think that the guard Aaron Banks is going to be an interesting one to watch too. I'm looking forward to seeing him in pass protection because from everything I've seen of him, he's just really good in pass protection and stellar. And I think he's going to be a huge upgrade for the 49ers there. And Ambry Thomas is a guy I really want to see on the field. Can't wait to see him in preseason because from the film that I've watched and kind of what I've heard of his, from what he's been doing in camp so far in their OTA periods, he was a guy that was showing out pretty well. So I'm really looking forward to seeing those three: Sermon, Banks, and Thomas, Ambry Thomas. Those three.
So my question is, in your opinion, who do you think is the breakout player for the 49ers? You've seen over the years. Is there any one player that you've seen that's performed really well? I mean, just just couldn't believe how like your expectations of one. I mean, is there one player that you've seen that's performed really well and improved his game to the point that's you say this guy's a star? This guy's. Is there any player that you've seen?
Well, I think the guy that could do it on the team this year would be Brandon Ayuk. I'm looking for big things from Brandon Ayuk. He's a guy who I think would have had a really good season. He had a good season last year, but he would have even been better if he had a quarterback that could hit him down the field a few times. So that's what I think is going to, I expect to see him have a standout year and have him really kind of be the breakout guy for the team in 2021.
So what things have you seen in Ayuk that just make him like, how he plays his game, how, he's all around, he's such a great athlete, have you seen, like, good things have you seen in Ayuk? I mean, have you, analyzed him and saw that this guy's great? There's many great things about him.
Yeah, he's a really good route runner. He does a really good job of positioning himself and getting himself positioned well against that DB to where that DB can't catch him on his breaks. He does a really good job of that, and he's a guy who can stretch the field vertically for the 49ers, and he was doing that at times last year, but the quarterback just wasn't getting the ball out of his hands to him, wasn't targeting him enough. So I think that he's going to continue to grow as a route runner, which he was already pretty darn good at, and I think that having a quarterback that can throw the ball downfield to him is going to be that part that really takes it over the top, because he's just going to be getting the targets down the field that he wasn't getting before. He's got the yard after catch ability, but I want to see him catch the ball down the field, before.
My question, my thing I wanted to say is that how many more years do you think Jimmy Garoppolo will stay in San Francisco? I mean, how many more years will he stay until it's time for him to leave? Or
I'm going to say that. I'm going to say that it's about what is it? We're in July now, so he's got about 7 or 8 more months left in San Francisco, max. I think. So
if you would rate Trey Lance on a 0 to 10 scale on how well he is as a player, what would you give him? If you would somebody would ask you that, you got to rate Trey Lance, what would you rate him? Would you give him like out of anywhere from 0, which is not so great of a player, to 10, which is very likely he's gonna be so what do you say? Do you say 0, which is not likely, or 10 is kind of really likely that he's gonna when he starts he's gonna have a good start for the Niners? What do you say?
I'm gonna give him a ranking of 7.5. Let's give him 7.5 as far as that ranking, because I think he's gonna as a rookie, if we grade him just based off the fact that he's a rookie and whatnot, and what how against other rookies, then he's an 8.5. But as far as just a quarterback in the NFL, we're projecting because we haven't seen him yet, but I think he's going to be above average, and he's going to be able to make some plays with his legs. And it's going to take him a little time to get into the passing game, but I don't think it's going to be that long. I think he's going to figure that out pretty quick as well. So give him a few weeks to really kind of get his legs underneath him, and then you're really going to see him excel. That's what I'm hoping.
What are some of the qualities that you like in Trey Lance?
I like the thing with Lance is there's a few things. One, the thing that I really like, and I wasn't the first one to point this out, but I really like the fact that when it came to directing the offense, he did it all on his own at North Dakota State. He got up to the line of scrimmage. He was making all the checks. He was doing all that. A lot of these college quarterbacks, you see them get up to the line of scrimmage and they go to call an audible, or they get a yell, and you get somebody yelling at them from the sidelines, and they look over and they get the signal, and they're getting the plays from the sidelines, not doing it themselves. So that's the first thing. The second thing that I really like about him is he's a guy who can really stand in the pocket and deliver the ball. He has the ability to take off running, but he doesn't like to do that, or that's not what he looks to do first. There's very few times where you see him hit his back foot and just take off on a run, unless it was a designed play, like a draw or something like that. There's very few times where it's a straight up pass play and he hits that back foot and just takes off running. So those are the two things for me. So this, I guess the first one is kind of like a maturity, because I think he understands the game. He understands what he's seeing defensively. He's really smart, and that seems to translate to his play on the field. The second one is his ability to stay in the pocket and make plays there. And then the third one is I think he's going to be safe with the football. He doesn't take a lot of risks. So those are the top three. Smart, plays well in the pocket, and doesn't take risks. Doesn't put the ball in bad spots often.
Who do you think is the better running back for the 49ers? Raheem Mostert or Tevin Coleman?
Who was that again? Raheem Mostert or who?
Raheem Mostert or Tevin Coleman?
Mostert. Mostert is much better. How about you?
And what are your thoughts that you find in Raheem Mostert as a running back? Do you think he I mean, I find some really good qualities in Mostert that really I found really fascinating. That he can run down the field and he has lots of speed down the field, so he can make some amount of good yardage when he's with
Mhm.
the ball. So that's what I find fascinating about him is that he can
Yeah,
get down the
Mostert.
field, make
Yeah.
some a
So
good amount of yardage down the field. So have you seen like how he runs with the ball? He's fast and you know people people tried to stop him, but he's too fast and he can just run really fast, go to the end zone, um, touchdown,
yep, that's
easy
that's
touchdown.
exactly what it is. You know,
Nobody can stop him,
that's
right? Would you say that you could compare Mostert to Tyreek Hill of the Chiefs? I don't know if he's a running back, Tyreek Hill from the Kansas
well,
City Chiefs.
Tyreek Hill's a wide receiver, but they're similar in the fact that they're both two
Mm.
of the fastest guys in the NFL. And there's times when Mostert can make a big play just because he's so fast, and because of that speed, he's able to get away from guys that the other running backs might not be able to break because he's just so quick and able to get away.
If you had if from the moments in 49 history, who was your favorite quarterback that you really like to see? Joe Montana or Steve Young?
Oh, I'm Steve Young. Excuse me, no, I'm not Steve Young. I'm Joe Montana. Joe Montana was always my guy. So Joe Montana is my favorite, and I think he was the better of the two. I think Joe Montana was the best quarterback for at least from 1980 forward.
What things did you really like in Joe Montana when he was playing as a quarterback? Did he have any good things that just made him a good quarterback? Was he like what did you see in him in Joe
When,
Montana?
yep, with Joe Montana, the bigger the game, the better he played. When he was in those in the when the stakes were the highest, that's when he always performed at his best. And on top of that, he was a guy who, uh, for that time in history, he was really a really good runner as well as a thrower, and he was able to move. And I think his athleticism. I think people don't really um, look at that as much as they probably should because he was a really mobile quarterback that could really make a lot of things happen with his feet and keep plays alive to help out their offense. And like Josh over here says, he was fearless too, and that's true. He stood in the pocket and delivered the ball, and he got hit in the teeth a few times pretty good.
If you could pick one moment from 49er history, all the wonderful and unforgettable moments that have taken place in 49er history, which is one moment that you have really like, which you really like? Is there any like specific moment that you've seen and like I really like this moment or this play or have you seen any moments in the history of the team that you really found that this is exciting? I really like this play or this moment or this.
Shoot, let me give you a few just from I'll give you a few from games that I was at. So um, the 1994 NFC Championship game, the interception from Eric Davis at the start of that game when he intercepted that ball and took it back for a touchdown against Troy Aikman. I don't think I've ever heard Candlestick Park as loud as it was that day. The way the stadium just erupted and really was shaken when he made that interception. That would have to be one of them. Uh, let's see what another one would have been in what was it 1989 in the NFC Championship game. It was a deep ball down the right sideline of the offensive line and it looked like it was going to be a big completion against the Rams, and you had Ronnie Lott just all of a sudden streak across the field and knock the ball away at the last second. That was another one. That was an amazing play, something different outside of the offensive stuff that most people are going to remember. There's just so many of them. The 88 Super Bowl, John Taylor making the catch in the Super Bowl to win that one at the end. I wasn't at that one. I was watching that one on TV, but yeah, that was definitely another one as well.
One of my favorite moments that I really loved watching was the Cowboys game against San Francisco, where Joe Montana threw that pass to Dwight Clark.
Yes.
And that touchdown that he made, which is one of the most legendary moments in 49er history. It's definitely one moment that you wouldn't ever forget, because it was, so remarkable how the connection was so great between both of them, because you never normally in football you don't see that connection, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm. You don't see that sync, like both, like it's amazing how Joe Montana and Dwight Clark were in sync with each other. That's just amazing. I'm just amazed at how Joe Montana threw the ball and Dwight Clark kind of in sync, kind of one up in the air, like, it was amazing how they could kind of work together and be in sync.
Absolutely.
And then Montana kind of releases the ball off of his hands, and then Dwight Clark kind of jumps up in the air, gets the pass to Montana, throws it down, spikes it, and then you could see how all those Cowboys fans are just disappointed. It's just not fun to see how they were, upset. They were just walking off the field. They probably wouldn't shake anybody's hands because they were so, upset. Because I've seen that in NBA when, a team does something bad, the other team doesn't even want to shake their hand. They just want to snub them and leave.
Yeah, that's one of the funniest things when they show that, when you watch when you see the video when they throw the pass as the catch, is they do a panning shot of the crowd, and there's one lady that's a Cowboys fan, and she's all angry, and she's stomping her feet.
She's not even going to shake anybody's hands.
No, she's probably getting in a fight on the way out of Candlestick afterwards.
Yeah. But that was amazing, and it was really great because they have a 49er museum in Levi Stadium, which is basically a museum with all the legends and their statues. And then I saw Dwight Clark's statue there. They have his statue of him elevating up in the air, catching the ball. So, when I went there, I had to take a photo next to it. I had to ask somebody, I can't miss taking a photo next to him catching the ball. It's just I had to get my photo next to it.
Well, next time you come on, I want to see a picture. I want to see that photo. You got to show that photo to us.
Yeah, because that was a legendary photo, and there's no way I wasn't gonna miss getting a photo taken next to that statue of Dwight Clark elevating up in the air, catching the ball.
Absolutely.
Scoring a touchdown. So,
Yep.
Yeah, but turning over to the NBA Finals game today, do you think that the Phoenix Suns are going to force a Game 7, or do you think the Bucks are going to win the championship? Because the Suns are playing. It's really amazing how Buster Posey was on the IR, on the injured list, because he was injured and he couldn't play in the All-Star game. So it was really great for him to come off of the IR and play catcher again.
Yeah, did you see last night his first at bat back? What did he do? He had a home run.
That was amazing.
Yeah, there's a sports writer in the Bay Area. I don't remember who it is, but he was saying that Buster Posey doesn't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. What do you think? Do you think that Buster Posey should be in the Hall of Fame?
I think he should be. What are your thoughts? Do you think he should be? He should be in the Hall of Fame. And
yeah, I think that he's definitely making a case for himself, huh?
He's amazing people because things are so great about Posies. Every time he gets up to bat, he does something like unbelievably amazing that you would never believe him to do. He would just hit a home run or a grand slam or something. It's just like every time he comes up to bat, he's gonna do something. So like fans won't believe that what he just did. So that's what like makes him so great. He can do anything.
Exactly.
He could hit a home run. He could hit a grand slam, like anything. Just you know, trying to make the game exciting for the fans because they want to come and watch him play. So
Yep.
I mean, it
He's a
really
fantastic player.
really makes me excited as a Buster Posey fan, and it always makes me sad when I go to the game and don't see him play. But I know that there might be another catcher who might replace him, and he might be equally as good as him. So
Yep.
that makes it exciting. I know he's not playing, but they always get a replacement catcher for him, and he might be good. And you know, but but it was great coming um uh on the show.
It was great to have you on too, Chardal. And make sure on Saturday if you call in, make sure if you call in on Saturday that you ask that Buster Posey question too. That's a great question about Buster Posey if he's worthy to be in the Hall of Fame. That's when you should write down. Make sure you make a note of that. Ask that question on Saturday.
I think he should. I think he should be in the Hall of Fame because I kind of
Yep.
disagree with the fact that people are saying he shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame, and I don't agree with that. Whoever said that,
Yep.
I don't at all agree with that. I think he should be in the Hall of Fame, and he should be given that like that honor because that would be amazing because he has so
Yep.
many awards on him: Rookie of the Year, on a World Series champion. Um,
3-time
you
World
know,
Series champion, Rookie of the Year. Yes.
yeah, it's been amazing. I mean, like I'm actually pretty upset that when they made the movie Rookie of the Year, they didn't put Buster Posey on the movie poster
Yeah.
for Rookie of the Year.
Oh, wasn't that movie though long before Buster Posey came around?
But it was.
Okay.
But they should make. But the really cool thing is that they should make they should make a remake of it.
A remake with I got you. I
With
got you.
Buster
I get where you're
Posey.
going. Yeah,
Yeah,
put it out with Buster Posey. Redo
yeah,
Buster Rookie of the Year with Buster Posey,
yeah,
or maybe just redo the Natural with Buster Posey.
yeah.
Yeah,
But uh, if there was a movie based on a San Francisco Giants player, who would it be? Like a
Barry
baseball
Bonds,
movie? What?
Barry Bonds, Barry Bonds.
Um, but I think you have more callers wanting to call in, but I'll see you
Yep,
on Tuesday. Uh, hoping to bring more topics for us to discuss on Tuesday.
perfect. I look forward to it, Chardal. It's always great to have you on. I like the hat. I like the glasses, and you got your Garoppolo jersey on today. You're looking
Yeah,
good.
I'll
So,
see you next
you,
next Tuesday, Jack.
sounds good. You have a good night.
See ya.
All right, bye bye. Chardal, everybody. Chardal comes in and he just lights it up, and he's got the hat, he's got the great glasses. I mean, those glasses are fantastic, and just and I love his take on Buster Posey too. Really hard to argue that Buster Posey deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, and I like the fact that Chardal said he doesn't agree with anybody who says that he shouldn't. Be in there. So that's a great call by Chardal. And I'm going to jump on. This guy's been holding on for 40 minutes, and I think he deserves to finally get on here. Hey, how you doing, Korean 49er?
Good. How are you, Jack?
I'm good. What's going on?
Not too much. A couple topics I'd like to talk to you about. I've talked about a little bit with you brought this up with Mike Miller over the weekend on the Saturday call-in show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if Jimmy Garoppolo stays on the roster and can't pass gets seriously injured and can't pass a physical at the beginning of the next NFL season, his contract is now an anchor on the 49ers because we can't release him, and that gets us back to another contract that is not a good one for the 49ers, and that's Dee Ford. How many of us fans are upset and disappointed that we can't get anything out of Dee Ford and we can't cut him because of the injury guarantee in his contract? I mean that if Jimmy got injured and that contract is fully guaranteed, that $52-ish million, that we can't strengthen the team next year or this year, potentially.
Yeah, it's really a really big problem for next year because in the 2021 they're kind of already up against the salary cap. They don't have very many guys signed for 2021 or 2022, I guess it is, right? Sorry, I'm a year behind. But when you look at the 2022 there, that year they have I think they only have like 38 or 40 guys under contract, and their cap space is really minimal. So they have to make some moves, and I think that all is going to play into what happens with Garoppolo because I don't think they can take the risk with him. And what you're saying, to your point, you're right. We had that conversation with a couple of folks last week or on Saturday during Saturday's show, but they can't. The risk of playing him and having him get hurt and the financial implications of doing that I think is too much for him to play very long, if at all, this season.
Yeah, we can't have another Dee Ford type of contracted situation where we have a player. I mean, I can never blame the players for signing their contracts. To me, they should get the money when they can. But based on the salary cap history, no quarterback has, taken up a certain percentage of the cap and has won the Super Bowl since the inception of the salary cap. Steve Young was the first one, and you kind of have to throw his that season out, the 1994 season out because of it.
Correct. Yeah, no, that's another angle for that whole thing as well.
Because to me, the biggest problem of the John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan era is they've been sitting on the fence about Jimmy Garoppolo instead of just making it one way or the other. I mean, if you truly believe in him, you're going to extend him. If you don't, you need to cut your losses. I mean, I get that it's not going to be the best cut, but we have to. You didn't trade one first rounder and then 3 other picks just to move up to get Trey Lance and not have him start playing, because that rookie, whenever he signs that rookie contract and plays that first game, his contract's going, and we need to try and take advantage of Bosa being inexpensive for the time being and Trey Lance being inexpensive for his 4 years outside of the 5th-year option, of course.
Right. And I think they're fine for this year, but I think where it really becomes an issue is next season. And so that's why they have to make that move before the end of this year, or at least if they go ahead and hold on to him, they've got to make that decision early in the offseason. He needs to be moved. Yeah.
So to me, I think the last topic I'll talk to you about, I'll keep my call with you short. In the 1980s, there were some elite coaches in the NFL that Bill Walsh had to go up against, because you look at what happened with Washington. They had Joe Gibbs, and he won 3 Super Bowls with 3 different quarterbacks, and Bill Parcells won with 2 different starting quarterbacks. I mean, they could have easily at least should have won a 5th Super Bowl in that decade, but it didn't happen, of course. But I have to admit that Joe Gibbs and Bill Parcells are elite coaches, and having Jimmy Johnson as the Cowboys coach didn't help either. But I can't. The Dallas Cowboys had an elite offensive line, and you could run a Mack truck through some of those holes that Emmitt Smith had at the time.
Yeah, well, the 80s were dominated by really 3 coaches, right? Bill Walsh, Joe Gibbs, Bill Parcells, as you mentioned. Those were the main, and then you had, and I'm blanking on the name, the head coach out in Denver. The Broncos were a team that was consistently there in the Super Bowl as well. So those were kind of like the 4. Dan Reeves, there you go. right. Those were your four main guys that were, at the top of the game at that point. So
Yeah, so I always thought that those were the elite coaches, and if someone says that Joe Gibbs is not an elite coach, the man won 3 Super Bowls with 3 different quarterbacks. I mean, that's hard to do with one quarterback as you're starting, winning multiple Super Bowls as your starting quarterback, but he did it with 3 different quarterbacks during his first time tenure as the Washington head coach.
Yeah, three different quarterbacks and a completely revamped his coaching style to fit his team after about halfway through his first season, and that really turned everything around for them. So
Yeah,
definitely.
Oh yeah. One last wrestling point. You've heard of there's a city in Minnesota called Robbinsdale. It's outside of Minneapolis.
I haven't heard of that one.
That city produced, I believe it's 7 professional wrestlers and 2 professional wrestling, non-wrestlers, I should say, kind of personalities. So I believe like Mr. Perfect and Rick Rude came out of the same high school, and Robbinsdale, Minnesota also produced Mean Gene Okerlund. So,
oh, there you go, Mean Gene. That's the guy right there, Mean Gene Okerlund.
He would just stand there with a microphone, and like Macho Man would be giving his promo, and I'm like, why is he not laughing? I just be laughing the whole time. It's like
he had to hold that in. He had to hold that in. But yeah, for sure.
Thank you, Jack. I'll let you get to the other callers.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you very much for calling in tonight. Look forward to chatting with you again soon.
Yep. If Grant can't do a cone phone on like a weekend, would you be able to fill in during that day, or do you and Grant have to work something out from that? I know
what we did on Saturday. That's what I did on Saturday. I could go on any time I want to, but I know that Saturdays are his day as far as cone phone, and I don't want to just jump on and do a show at a time that would normally be his without checking with him first. It's just courtesy. That's why I try to kind of reach out to most of the guys, at least from the Sports Illustrated guys, and make sure I'm not jumping on at the same time as them. That's why this show starts at 6, because I know for a while there East Bay was doing a show at 7, so I started at 6. So that's the reason.
Fair enough. Appreciate it.
All right. Yeah. You have a good one.
You too.
All right. All right. Great call from Korean Niner there. He always brings some really good stuff. This guy says he's got to go grocery shopping, so I better hurry up and get him on the line before he drops off. How's it going? How's it going,
What's
Tommy?
up, Jack? How you doing?
I'm good. What's going on?
Not much.
What's going on with the 49ers you want to chat about?
I don't know. How confident are you that Lance is starting week 1? I'm pretty sure he's not going to be starting. Just because why rush the rookie when we have Jimmy Garoppolo who can win? I mean, he's not the greatest quarterback. I wouldn't even say he's top 20. But, he's got a winning record. Obviously, the problem is he can't stay healthy. And, of course, he can't throw long. I think he's afraid to run because the last time he had he had a couple of good rushes against the Patriots. He had a good run against the Rams. I think he ran for like 5 yards. Last time he went, 15 yards? He blew his ACL.
Right.
So
no, he had a couple of decent scrambles.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think from as far as your question goes, how confident I am, I'd probably say I'm 50-50 on it. I can understand if they don't go with them.
Mm-hmm.
It's more my feeling is that I think that that's what they should do, is that they should go with Trey Lance and they should just go ahead and ride with them. Jimmy Garoppolo has never been a really good quarterback in week 1, at least so far in his career. So it's really, I could see a situation where they throw him out there week 1 and he struggles, and then it doesn't take too long after that the 49ers are making a move to Trey Lance just because he's going to struggle early on. That's just usually what he does.
That's a funny thing because he didn't look good at week 1, 2020, and the defense didn't either. I'm not sure why they weren't getting any, maybe because of the lack of OTAs and but they weren't getting any. The defense, the pass rush wasn't really breaking through. I mean, Maybe it's because the mobile quarterback thing. I'm not sure, but that was
Yeah,
really uninspiring. No penetration whatsoever.
yeah, exactly. I think it's a couple of things. I think it was the fact that they have Kyler Murray who can run around and scramble, and he gives them a lot of trouble. And also, I think that it had to do with the fact that Richard Sherman just could not contain DeAndre Hopkins at all, and
Oh yeah,
Hopkins just killed them in that game. And so you put Hopkins' ability to just run away from Sherman, and then you have the quarterback out there running around and making things happen with his legs. I think that was kind of a perfect storm. And the other thing too was that they had started out that game doing well. They had the punt block that really hurt them because I think they.
yeah, I know, right?
Mm-hmm.
I
That
think
goes
they
back
would have
to-
won that game if that punt block didn't happen. We would have definitely won that game because they almost
Yeah,
won
there's
at
a
the
couple of
end.
things.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, you're right. The punt block. If that punt block doesn't happen, you're probably if that punt block doesn't happen, you're not worried about Garoppolo having to throw a touchdown at the end of the game.
Exactly.
So yeah, that was a big one because it was a total momentum changer. Kind of turned that whole thing around because up until that point, the 49ers were dominating. I think it was 10-0 when that happened.
Yeah,
So
I think that's why you
From my-
picked the Niners to lose the next game. I think I remember you picked the Giants to win that game.
I had picked the it wasn't the Giants. The next game was the Jets. I had said that the Jets.
Oh.
I said the Jets. That was a great pick by me. That the Jets were gonna. No. Yeah, my whole thinking there was that it was an East Coast game and that the
Oh yeah.
was that the Jets had a kind of a good finish to the season the year before, but that was an awful decision there to go with them.
Oh well. So sometimes upsets happen. So
Yeah,
but that
happens.
the field beat us more than the Jets did.
Oh, it sure did. It sure did. It cost the 49ers really ruined their whole season in a lot of ways. Kind of set
Yeah.
that all those wheels in motion with Garoppolo got hurt. I know that's when Mostert originally hurt his leg, and then you had Solomon Thomas and Nick Bosa, and yeah, that was a disaster of a game.
So yeah. And so if they start Lance, does that mean Jimmy's going to be the backup? No, they're going to trade him. But who's going to be the backup? Like in case Lance gets hurt, which I don't think he's going to. But if he did get hurt, then we're stuck with Rosen. And I'm not. I mean, he's a good thrower of the football, but I don't think anyone's convinced that he could win more than like 2 or 3 games.
I think that Rosen would I would hope I would like to think that Rosen could give you everything that they got out of the quarterbacks last year.
That's true.
Having he just they threw him in. He just joined the team right at the end of the season last year. So now that he's had a full off season of learning the playbook and everything, and he's gone through OTAs and he'll have a training camp. It'll be interesting to see if Rosen is somebody that they really believe in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that'll make the decision there. So
Yeah. And then Sedfeld's number 3?
yeah, if they were to get rid of Garoppolo, Nate Sudfeld would be number 3. So you'd have Lance and Rosen, who I'm okay with Lance Rosen. Sudfeld at number 3, that's definitely a step down. I think. I think Sudfeld's probably he's definitely, from what we saw of him in Philadelphia, he's a step down from even C.J. Beathard as a quarterback. So the quarterback room, I think, is stronger to an extent, but once you get to number 3, it's not so much.
Definitely true.
Yeah.
I've never been so excited to watch the preseason because normally I'm like, 5 preseason game? Who's going to watch that? I mean, the Battle of the Bay they're going to watch. Well, actually, it's not even the Battle of the Bay anymore, but
yeah, the Raiders. Yeah, I can't wait till the preseason starts to get to see these guys run around on the field and see Lance in a 49ers uniform finally, instead of people the pictures that people are trying to make him out to be in a 49er uniform, and see all these guys. Aaron Banks, big old guy playing right guard. I think that's going to be fun to see, and obviously Trey Sermon and Andrew Thomas and so on. It's going to be a lot of fun to actually get to finally see them on a field.
Please, God, I just do not want them to even play Nick Bosa any preseason games, not one.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know.
let's just get him going and really work him on the side field. And there's no need for him to step onto the field in a game until week 1 of the regular season.
I think I said like let him play 3 plays, then someone's like, yeah, maybe that's 3 plays too many. I mean,
it really could be, right? So you just kind of want to get him. I don't really think there's a need to get him on the field during the preseason.
Definitely not.
Come back from the injury. Yeah.
How about? Do you think the Rams are going to be more one-dimensional now since that Cam Akers is out? I mean, I don't really have much faith in Henderson being a lone back. I mean, I guess that guy Funk, he's like a fullback or whatever. I guess.
Yeah, they have. Yeah. Yeah, it seems like they're going to have to be a little bit, right? Because they have Henderson, who I think he carried the ball 138 times last year, I think it was, and that's the most he's ever carried in a season. And behind him, they have a rookie and a guy who I don't know much about, the other guy. So you're looking at losing 145 carries and having to replace them with a bunch of guys who haven't done it in the past. So
yeah.
I think we might see them throwing the ball a little more often than they normally would want to do.
Yeah, that's more like the Lions offense then.
Right. Matt Stafford's going to feel right at home, right?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I
thought he was going to be able to hand off.
Yeah, because I think I was calling Cam Akers to be the number 1 back in the NFC West. I mean, he had a lot of promise, and of course, our running backs can't stay healthy, but
yeah. A lot of people I think were expecting a big season out of Cam Akers, and so that's a big blow for the Rams. Definitely.
Yeah, it's interesting that Jesse Naylor, he calls them to be at the bottom of the NFC West. I don't really agree because the Cardinals never convinced me. The Rams have their number. We have the Rams number. So I'm thinking the Cardinals are going to be last place. Their coach is he shouldn't even be a head coach in my opinion.
Yeah,
he's definitely the worst coach in the NFC West.
I agree with you there. I agree with you there because they've got a lot of talent, and if that team stumbles and falters like they did in 2020, if they do that again this year, I think there's going to be a lot of.
I'm sorry. Who calls a 4th and 6 when you're like on your own 30? That's the dumbest call of all time. I was like, who?
Oh yeah.
That was
Yep.
I mean, there's being aggressive. There's called being aggressive, and then there's stupid.
Yeah, and that one falls in the latter category. That's for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
That was fun.
Yeah, that's he's a guy who I think he only had one winning season in college, and now he's the head coach of an NFL team.
He couldn't even win with Mahomes as the quarterback. He coached Mahomes, didn't he? And they couldn't even have a winning season. I mean,
correct. So
Jesus.
Yeah. Don't really understand that whole thing, but that's good for the Cardinals, which makes it good for the 49ers.
Exactly. I'd like to keep him there. So, I mean,
yeah.
But I think having Ebicom, I think he's going to do a lot better containing our mobile quarterbacks. I hope I'm right. I mean, but it's sometimes our Achilles heel. So who knows?
I think you're right, though. I think you're thinking that about Ebicom. I think you're on the right track with that because he's shown that he can do that when he was with the Rams. He did a really good job. He's against Murray, against Wilson. He did a really good job against Patrick Mahomes in 2018. So he's shown the ability to do a good job against mobile quarterbacks. So I think you're on the right track with that one.
Yeah, I don't. But some people are saying he's going to be rotational, but I don't think so. I don't. I think D Ford's going to be more the. Well, I don't know if he can even be rotational. I think getting a few snaps of him a game is good enough.
Yeah, I think with I don't foresee seeing D Ford anytime soon, but I think the way that it's going to work out is you're going to see Ebicom's going to be a rotational piece in that he's not in their base defense. In their base defense, Eric Armstead plays defensive end, but he doesn't play when they go into their pass rush in nickel and dime. When they start getting into their passing defenses, that's when you see Ebicom, and that's what you saw with D Ford as well in 2019. He wasn't an every down player. He was a rotational guy because they like to have Armstead in there, and then they bump him down inside and on passing downs.
Definitely.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to seeing that one as well. So it should be good.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. So you heading out grocery shopping now?
Yeah, probably.
What are you getting? What's good? What's good?
I don't know. I just usually just go to Nob Hill down here because 70 usually dies down, so that's when I usually go. I don't like big crowds.
I hear you. Okay.
But you know,
Perfect.
it's not really
Perfect.
It's not really that crowded here, so
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I'm just being a diva.
You got the nice hat. Go out there. Go do your shopping when everybody's not around.
Yeah.
That way you don't get. The worst is when you go in your shopping, you get people asking for your autograph, right?
All right. Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thanks for having my call, and I'll possibly see you in the next one.
Perfect. I appreciate you. It's great thank you for hanging around, and have a great night.
You too.
All right.
Take care.
All right. And let's jump on. This guy's been waiting. Look at. Oh man, I think Ryan's trying to outdo Chardal with the glasses and the hat and the jersey too. Look at that. Oh
these
gosh.
are my daughter's glasses. I seen the goat. I seen the goat come on with his fit, and I was like, oh, gotta dress like my hero.
Had to step it up a little bit, huh?
Oh yeah, I was wearing my bummy shirt, and I was like, oh, if he's bringing his A game, I got to bring mine because I'm not as good as him. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, look at that! You got the nice hat on. Look at those glasses, and then what's the jersey? 94? Is that a 94 jersey?
Oh, this is a cowboy, baby. Yeah,
that's what I was thinking. Saw Jefferson. Oh my goodness, Justin Smith jersey. That's nice.
Yeah, it could also be a Dana Stubblefield, but he got in some trouble, so we can't really be sporting Dana.
Yeah, I think Solomon Thomas would be a better one than over that one at this point.
Yeah.
Yep. So, yeah, what's going on tonight?
Well,
besides looking good there with your glasses.
I should have had my beard still grown out because he was rocking his. You know what I mean? Feel a little bit like a chump. But I was thinking the Steelers got Ingram for like $4 million, and I'm thinking, does that kind of clue in the fact that we might not be getting rid of Jimmy anytime soon? Because if they were willing to let an edge rusher like Ingram go for $4 million on a 1-year contract, which they could, with the cap goes up, they might be able to find room for him the next year and sign him for more. Do you think that kind of shows that they're going to be holding on to Jimmy for a minute and they're just worried about getting Fred in the books somehow?
I think they're going to be holding on to Garoppolo for a while. I don't see him moving anywhere until maybe after training camp is almost over with. That's the earliest I see Garoppolo getting moved because they're not going to just release him. They want to trade him if they end up the release isn't going to happen until as late as possible if they end up even doing that. They're hoping that they get a break somewhere along the way. I think where they can trade him and get somebody for him.
I think that they feel that they can't trade him because if they do and anything happens with Lance, then the fans are just go for everybody's heads. So that's why I think they need the competition and they need the preseason to make it okay with the fans. You know what I mean? To let the fans lay down and accept it. You know what I mean? That's my personal thought.
Yeah. I think that they're going to have a tough time with the fan base if they go with somebody else and they struggle. I think that there's been a lot of times like on our 49er roundtables with all 49ers and stuff where we've had this discussion a few times. If Trey Lance is the starting quarterback, does the fan base give the 49ers a little bit of a break for not having a successful season, especially if he plays well? And a few folks think that that's the case, but I don't. I think that if the 49ers go in a direction else other than Jimmy Garoppolo and they don't win games, it's going to be really bad in San Francisco. So, that's kind of where I see that playing out.
And to speak on Tommy's point, he was wondering what Rosen would do if Trey Lance was the starter and then he got hurt and then Rosen had to come in. I actually think that's a better scenario than Rosen coming in for Jimmy, because you've got with Trey, they wouldn't be asking him to throw as much. It'd be more handing off the ball, heavy run, dialing up, faking the quarterback run, and then, letting him keep the ball at times. But I think it'd be easier for Rosen to step in as a backup for Trey Lance than it would be for Jimmy.
Yeah,
because the offense would be dinner. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I think I'm with you on that one.
Now, why do you think Trey Sermon would get the start over Gallman?
The only way it's going to be a battle in camp. I think I think the starting running back is going to be Mostert, and then the way I see this playing out is you're going to have Gallman and Sermon kind of battling to take that Jeff Wilson position of the pounding guy that comes in off the bench as the number 2, and then you have the rookie, the other rookie Mitchell battling with Hasty for kind of the scat back kind of a role. So I think that's how we're going to see this play out. And if Gallman is able to outperform Sermon, he'll be the guy. But I think Sermon's might get a little bit more break just because of the fact that he's a rookie that they use draft picks on. They use draft capital. They expect him to be around longer. Gallman's got a 1-year contract. So he's kind of here on a prove it kind of a deal.
Wouldn't you want to use the guy on the 1-year contract who's got more years on him first before you take your nice fancy thing out in the mud?
No, I mean there's going to be times. I think the way that it's really going to play out with all those guys is it's going to be a matter of who's got the hot hand in any given game. That's the way that you saw Trey Sermon get used at Ohio State. There wasn't a lot of times where he carried the ball a lot of times, a lot in a game. So, but when he got going and got hot, they just kept giving him the ball, feeding it to him. And that's what they started doing at the end of the season. You saw the same thing happen with him in Oklahoma.
And with how Gallman, you said how I don't know this for a fact. I'm just taking your word on this. You said that Gallman was he's better the more he gets fed. And
yeah, if you look at his numbers.
Go ahead.
If you look at his numbers, 2017 before Barkley got there in 2017, he got the ball over 100 times. And he was running the ball really well. He averaged over 2 yards per carry after contact. And in 2017, his carries dropped in 18 and 19 because all those were going to Barkley. And his numbers, everything kind of fell along with it. And then last year, his carries go back up. His yards after contact go up. And, it all just, you can see that he seems to be a guy who needs to be getting the ball and to get into the flow in order for him to be at his best.
Now, do you think that could be actually a problem here in San Francisco? Because it's kind of whoever Kyle believes has the better shot that day, or who's better in hello? You there? Hello? Jack? Oh, hey guys, how's it going? I guess I'm just rolling, huh? Yeah, so I was just kind of wondering, with how the Niners are running back by committee, if that would stunt, Wade Gallman's production. There we go. I can't hear you. I can't hear you, bro. I can't hear you. There we go. I think I hear something.
Now, can you hear me?
There we go.
Can you hear me? All right,
Yep.
let me see. Got some technical difficulties over here tonight. Is that working?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, good. All right. Nope, we're good. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened there. All of a sudden, I lost connection on my mic, and then all of a sudden, you lost me for a minute there too. So, woo! No, but where were we? Catch me back up.
Gallman with the running back by the committee. Do you believe that might hinder Gallman's production?
It could a little bit. The only reason I say that it could hinder it is it's the same deal though with Sermon as well. Kind of like I was saying, Sermon was a guy who was at his best when the more he was getting fed. I mean, he came on in spots and did really well at times in games, but at the same time, he was a guy who the more he got fed the ball, the better he ran. So it kind of goes back and forth.
Now, one last question. Do you think that Kyle Shanahan will deliberately call plays during the preseason to make Jimmy look like trash so that the people will scream for Trey Lance?
No, I don't think so. I think that you'll see him calling what he always calls. The offense is what it is. I don't think you're going to see him do anything out of the ordinary to try to make anybody necessarily look bad that way.
Okay. I personally, I think if he's over with Jimmy and he's moved on and he knows how much money is being wrapped up and he wants to, get a couple more winning seasons under his belt, I personally would I'd call some of the plays that he's not very good at, and then I'd turn around and put Lance in and call the same plays.
Well, I think you're going to see some of that, but and I just don't think that's why I'm saying I don't think you're going to see him be putting Garoppolo in bad situations, because I think you're going to see them both running some of the same stuff. As far as the passing game, maybe some of the play action game, but you're not going to, obviously he's not going to put Jimmy Garoppolo out there and run the read option and I don't really see him doing that with I don't really see him doing that with. I don't see him doing something like that with Trey Lance in the preseason either. I think we're going to see him the stuff that's kind of the outside the ordinary stuff that you're going to see with Trey Lance. I don't think we're going to see that until the regular season hits.
I think when we see Trey run, it's going to be on those like naked boots where he just keeps it. Could fake up the middle, hide it on the hip, and just keep on going, pretending like you don't know what's going on, and then go for the pylon. Yeah,
definitely will be some of that for sure.
All right. Well, I'll let you get to everybody else, bro. You have a wonderful evening.
I will. Thank you very much. You have a good evening as well.
You too, sir.
Make sure you wear those glasses next time you're on with me too. I want to see those. I like those.
Dollar store.
There you go. All right. Have a good night.
Peace out.
Bye. All right. Let's go. I haven't heard from this guy in a while. Raymond, how you doing?
Hey, what's up, Jack? How you doing?
It must be the hat night tonight. I need to go get a hat. I need to go get my 49er hat and put that on to join in with the group. How you doing?
I'm doing good. So one of the things I wanted to talk, so Ryan kind of hit on it at the end, but it's more, I wanted to ask you a little more in depth maybe about what your predictions are for how this training camp battle with quarterbacks is actually going to play out, because one of the things that I think a lot of people have said so far is that they expect there to be a competition. I think Shanahan's been open about it. But how do you think they're going to be able to evaluate these guys in the camp? Because most preseasons are vanilla. So what do you think they're going to do to try to, get down to a firm decision on who the quarterback is going to be?
I think a lot of that really gets decided in practice. I know we kind of, as fans, we look at what they do in the preseason games, but I think a lot of that really comes down to what they're doing on the practice field day in and day out, and that's where a lot of those decisions get made. I think they're doing a joint practice, I think, with the Chargers this year down in LA at one point. So, that kind of all that stuff kind of plays into it. Obviously, what they do when the lights are on has something to do with it, but the majority of it's going to be what they're doing on the practice field. I think that's the majority where it's going to be decided.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. So with that in mind, about, let's say they decide by the training practices. So for me, if I'm looking at what should logically happen if Jimmy is at least mid-tier, is Jimmy should look better than Lance in understanding the system this year. It's what he should be able to do by this year. So I know we've heard in the past that Jimmy's not a good practice quarterback. So for me, that's unacceptable this year. That's unacceptable this year if you still are not able to practice good. Because to me, it's an indicator that there might be still a problem with your fundamentals in the system. And if you still have a problem in the fundamentals of this system by 2021, then I think it'll be evident. I think it'll be evident. So for me, though, what I expect is I expect Jimmy to do his best. Maybe we'll hear that he's doing better in training camp than he has in past seasons. Because if he doesn't, I think it further lowers his trade value that's already pretty damn low. I mean, it doesn't really seem like there's anything there. And if he's just not performing and they're going to trade him away for that reason, it's almost like it might be a cut if he's not performing, because if you can't get any trade value and all the teams around the league are going to call your bluff because what you gave up to get him, then I think it's going to come down to that decision if he doesn't perform. So I'm glad that with the training camp, it's going to be a clear-cut black and white picture. We'll get a good understanding of what's going to be the future for this season at least.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts? Do you think Jimmy has the ability, from what you've seen so far in your evaluations of him, do you think he has the ability to take it to another level?
No, I think Garoppolo is who he's been. I don't foresee him all of a sudden coming out and taking this like big leap of in any sort of way. I know that was one of the main things that people thought we were going to see last year, and you didn't see it in week one. You saw him doing the same thing that he always does, and then in week two he was playing at a little bit higher level, but he always does that. That's par for the course with him throughout his career, is to struggle week one, do better in week two. I don't expect to see him do anything different. I would expect to see him struggle the first game of out in Detroit if he's the starting quarterback, and if he happens to be the starting quarterback in week two in Philadelphia, I would think he's going to play better. It's just he's done that throughout his career, whether he's in San Francisco or in New England.
Okay, so in his games where he gets a lot of credit, I think Jimmy. The only reason why Jimmy's still on the team right now is because Jimmy has the wins versus losses record. We can say that he's been on a great team and he has a great coach, and so the wins should be there. But then the argument is always, well, why didn't CJ win? Why didn't Nick win? And I think it gives it some validity. But at the same time, we know there's a lot of context when you think about it in terms of the teams when they're at their peak with talent and teams when they were injury riddled. And I think sometimes it distorts the whole picture. Because I think he, from what I remember about those times where he would play well, even in those games, he would still have those Jimmy moments where he has wins, but it was like, if you go back to 2017 to now, he was doing that in 2017. He was he was 7 touchdowns, 5 picks. So it was like, all right, if he plays more, he's finally going to probably take that step where he stops doing that. So then, you see 2019, and I believe he had about a 2-to-1 ratio of touchdowns and interceptions. So for me, as a 49ers fan, for me to see Jimmy still be at that level, if we don't see any progression, if we see the same mistakes where he just predetermines where he's going to go with the ball, I expect there to be a change this training camp, this off season. And I'm not a Jimmy hater, I'm not a hey, well, Lance needs to play just because. I'm more of I need to see, like, there's a reason why he's on the team right now, and I think it's because the players need to see as well. If you think about what Jimmy Ward said when he went on the interview with Grant, when they were talking about having to evaluate players, he was breaking down, he can pretty much evaluate the guys on the field, but he said, I got to see a quarterback play. I have to see a quarterback
Yeah.
play. I can't just tell from this how he's going to do. So I think that's kind of telling that just like in the fan base, there's a lot of us who want one and want the other. It could be very similar in the locker room where you got one side that is ready to move on, but the other side is like, hey, we won with this guy. We need to see the battle first before we're okay with this. So I wonder if that's why he's still on the team, is because even though Shanahan may be ready to move on, maybe he doesn't want to cause that dysfunction in his locker room that it may cause.
Yeah, I think you're definitely right on that. I think that's a really good point, is that they need to let this thing kind of play out, and they need to let it play out in front of the players so that they can see how close they are or how similar they are, and they can trust that it's not just Jimmy getting shipped out because they drafted this other kid. You know, they need to see this other guy playing at that level, or maybe playing at that same level but making some bigger plays every once in a while. And then they'll buy into it a little bit more, and I think we've kind of started to see that happen already throughout the OTA period, throughout the offseason so far. So, you know, I would kind of would lead me to expect to see that grow throughout training camp.
Yeah. So besides the quarterback competition for the starting position, I know at right guard everybody penciled in Aaron Banks, it sounds like. But do you think that's a position that Brunskill is going to seriously push for this training camp?
I think that's the competition is going to be between Brunskill and Banks, but I think Banks is going to win that job, and you're going to see Brunskill, you know, really working between guard and center and really becoming more of your everyday backup center, so that he can get those calls down better. And he's a guy that can play everywhere along the line of scrimmage. That's what makes him so valuable, is that his ability to play center, guard, tackle, and play all of them at a pretty decent level, especially guard and tackle.
Yeah, his versatility on the team is he's probably the most versatile player on the team.
Yeah.
So I know, like, a lot of the times we look at these competition battles, and sometimes we may overthink it, when sometimes it's the guy who's more physically gifted and has mental intelligence to keep up with everything is most likely going to be the guy to start. And if we look at some of the guys they draft, one thing that I think they've done better in their draft evaluations over the years is they made a decision to go after traits like intelligence, injury history, for the consistency, to see how a guy's makeup is, basically. Because I think there were definitely some rough learnings from those first couple drafts. You know, so I'm glad they've made a little bit of a difference in their approach. So I think the Ambry Thomas discussion for the number 2 QB spot, our cornerback spot, it might be a little underrated right now.
Yeah, I think they did a really good job in this draft, and I think Ambry Thomas is a guy who is going to be really good, and people are kind of sleeping on him a little bit. You look at what he did in college against the guys that he did it against, and I think he's a guy that's going to be able to step in and really push Mosley for that number 2 corner spot, and be a guy that if they need to, he can step in and play at the slot, and he can or step on in and play in place of Verrett. So I think he's a guy who I think they might have really hit on something there. I'm really looking forward to seeing how he plays throughout preseason and throughout training camp.
Yeah, I think when you look at his makeup, you look at what the 49ers started doing in 2020 with playing a lot more man, I think it fits him, and it fits Lenoir as well. You know, maybe that's one of the position battles we're not talking about either, is the nickel spot. I mean, we assume, because K1's been very good in that traditional, you know, zone style, Robert Saleh defense, but K1's missed a lot of time as well, and he's been banged up and nicked up as well. So I think it's underrated matchup at those 2 spots at the nickel position as well, where if Lenoir looks like the guy who's stickier, who can play man coverage better, it might be hard to keep him off the field if K1 struggles in some man, and it's something that I think might be another underrated battle.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be that one's going to be a lot of fun to watch, because I think there definitely might be a chance that he can push some people.
Yeah. So just wanted to talk 49ers football with you, and appreciate your show, man. I always see your tweets and stuff, and just really like the work you do, Jack. I think you do a really good job all the times with the film breakdown. It also helps a lot of us guys who play like fantasy football as well, because we get to see guys who get highlighted. We get to see guys who maybe we weren't paying attention to, but the guy actually is really, a top good player. So yeah, just wanted to thank you for that, and just keep doing what you're doing, and everybody give Jack a like and subscribe.
Awesome. I appreciate it. And keep that stuff. I can't wait for the preseason and stuff to come around so we can get back to more of those film breakdowns of the 49ers. So I really appreciate all your kind words, and I'll look forward to chatting with you again here soon.
All right, man. Have a good one, Jack.
You too. Thank you. All right. Now I'm going to jump over. We're getting kind of long here, so I got to kind of try to speed this up a little bit, but I want to get everybody in. And this is it, how do you say your name? How do you say your name?
Aaron.
Aaron, I wasn't sure. Okay, Aaron.
Yeah,
okay, perfect.
sorry.
How you doing, Aaron?
I'm doing all right. Yeah, my name's spelled a little differently. My dad was stubborn and decided my name should be spelled with 2 R's, not 2 A's. Yeah, I'll try and get.
That's awesome.
It's been a nightmare for all my teachers growing up. I graduated. I guess my first question I wanted to ask real quick was, what's your thought on defensive tackle Maurice Hurst, who we signed in the offseason? What do you expect of him on the Niners?
I think he's going to be a nice rotational guy. He's going to be in that middle of that defense. They're really stout, but I could see him being, probably he's going to probably be the last guy in that rotation. It's probably going to be like in their base defense. You're probably going to have D.J. Jones and Javon Kinlaw as your starters, with Zach Kerr and Kevin Givens backing them up, and so then you have Hurst as that fifth guy, kind of the last guy that's might not even be dressing, during for games, because he's towards the end of the roster. But he's a definite upgrade over what they had in that spot last year. So I think he's definitely an upgrade, but I don't necessarily expect big things out of him.
Oh, that's the thing. I was kind of high on him when we signed him in the offseason. I thought he was very underrated. I think I see him as a D3, or the third guy on the rotation. That's just me personally. I know we have a lot of depth there. I saw an interesting story also real quick where someone was mentioning the possibility of trading Mostert either this offseason or this season. It's not like factual or anything. He was just thinking hypothetically here. We've got a rather deep depth at running back this year. So I was going to ask what you thought the likelihood of going into the season or during the season something like that might happen if Trey Sermon starts really performing and 2 out of 3 of the other running backs start really performing in general.
That they would go ahead and trade Raheem Mostert, you're saying?
Yeah, because it's a contract year for him.
Yeah, and that's funny you mentioned that. That was actually something that I had brought up back about a month or so ago, maybe 2 months ago now. It was a while back. I had brought that up shortly after the draft, because at that point, remember, the running back room was really full. You had Mostert and Wilson and Gallman, and Gallman was the guy that everybody always forgot about, and you still kind of do in a way. Mm-hmm. And then you had Sermon, you had Mitchell, and you had Hasty, and I was kind of that thing of, do the Friars make a move and try to move him? Is he going to be the odd man out because he's at the end of his contract?
Yeah.
The thing is, go ahead.
I was going to say, out of all of them, he definitely has the most draft capital by a long shot. We could probably get something decent for him.
Well, the thing is, I don't foresee anybody really wanting to put to give up much for Mostert. If you're looking at, Mostert's probably not going to get you anything higher than maybe a 6th or 7th back. So, that's, for a team actually that only has, I think, 5 draft picks for next year, that's obviously a help. But I think he's too valuable. It's gonna. Let's see how he. If he does get moved, he'll get moved at the trade deadline or right before. Yeah. But I just don't. I don't see it now. I mean, like I said, I mentioned it about a month or 2 ago, but that was when they were full in their backfield. But with Wilson going down and his history of injuries, I'm not sure if they make that move.
Yeah. All right. I guess last one I got is I've got to ask, as a man of pop culture who loves movies and had tried to have a little bit of a running joke with a certain other Niners reporter, who does this chat thing. What's your favorite Quentin Tarantino movie?
Shoot, you know what? I haven't seen a whole lot of his movies, but I did see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood recently. That was a couple years ago, and I really enjoyed that movie. That was I was thinking it was going to be different than it was, so I was kind of waiting for it to play out the way that it did in real life, and then when it did, I was like, oh, okay, I get it now. But I really enjoyed that movie, and that I haven't. But you know, unfortunately, I haven't really seen a whole lot of his movies. I definitely need to go and check them out because I know there's a lot of scenes in like Pulp Fiction and some of the other flicks that he's done that people talk about.
Well, your answer was a lot better than the other guys who shall not be named because I gave him a hard time about that too. So you just got cool points with me. That's all I got for that.
Right on.
Keep up the good work, as everyone's saying. This was pretty fun, and I enjoyed doing these from time to time. And I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, we'll keep doing that, and look forward to talking to you next week.
Yeah, you have a good night, man.
All right, you too. Thank you, Aaron. All right, bye. All right, great call. That was the first time I talked to him. That was a phone call. I see him on Twitter, I think, a lot. So that's awesome. Let's go over here. I talked to this guy once before. I know who this guy is. You had me on your YouTube channel one night. How you doing, CG?
Yeah, it was great, man. Yeah, dude, it's been a long minute since I talked to you, man. I go on Twitter every now and then, but let me ask you a simple question, man. How do you feel about this tight end group? Do you think we should even bring Jordan Matthews?
I'd love to see them bring in Jordan Matthews. I'd like to see, from the standpoint, what do you have to lose? I think he's a guy that you could bring in for relatively cheap. The 49ers have shown that they want to have a receiving threat there. If Jalen Hurd isn't going to come back, then go ahead and bring this guy in because he gives you that role in a way that they're hoping for Hurd. He's not like the same runner as Hurd. Hurd's a beast when it comes to that. We saw that in the one quarter that he's played since he came to the 49ers. But I don't think it hurts anything. I do like Ross Dwelley quite a bit, so I guess that's the one area that it hurts because it might take targets away from Ross Dwelley, but. I don't think that it just doesn't seem at all like Shanahan's sold on him as much as myself and some other people are.
Yeah, Ross Dwelley is very underrated. He does dirty work, but there's a lot of ways to improve the area. Like outside of the other receivers, you got Debo and Ayuk is more likely the top proven receivers for us. But outside of that, you don't got really much of those other names. But maybe there'll be some under the radar that we might not. See make noises, like a guy that might step in and break out. Like some people are sleeping on Sanu, some people are sleeping on Jennings. James, who knows? Maybe we can bring in one more receiver, maybe a D.D. Westbrook.
Yeah, maybe. And go back to what you just said. I understand that that he'd be transitioning to tight end, but still, he's got the wide receiver body. It's a little bit bigger now. That would be helpful to him. Another big body guy that to play on the inside. Sanu is a guy who originally I wasn't really high on him making the roster, but he's been doing really well in camp, and they're pretty high on him. The only thing that I think that hurts him is the fact that he doesn't play special teams. So that might be why he doesn't make the roster at the end.
Yeah, and then there's one guy they're sleeping on is I'm hearing a lot of buzz about this Trent Sherfield. He's pretty much a special teamer guy, and he's a big body receiver. Hasn't been quite utilized for the Cardinals, but I'm just hearing a lot of good things about this guy. I don't know why he's even still around, but I guess it's a lot of what they like about him so far. What's your take on him?
Well, Sherfield's a special teams ace. He had a bunch of catches, I think, in 2018, but then he really didn't have anything in 19 and 20. It really kind of dropped off. So don't know what we have in him as a receiver because just haven't seen enough of him. And he just didn't get enough touches the last couple of years. He's a few years removed from being from the productive start that he had in Arizona.
Yeah, I think most of it, outside of Debo and Ayuk, it's just pretty unproven for our squad. But it's if we can just get one more guy to add some competition, it'd be nice. But I think other than that, I think maybe there's something with a healthy Jalen Hurts that proves himself, then maybe we get something. But I think Richie James is the one that deserves more opportunities because If you play him in the slot, he's going to be able to separate in space. Even if you throw a short pass, he'll catch that ball and make it into a big play. So it's like you can utilize him in a lot of different ways. Like you can even do one of those jet sweep plays just like Debo, but you can do a lot of things with Richie James than what you can do with those other big body receivers.
I agree. I think that he definitely needs to be given more opportunity. He's a guy who every time they've given opportunities to, he stepped up and kind of rose to the moment. So I would like to see James definitely become more of an option in their passing game this year.
Yeah, it's like you can do a lot with this guy. I mean, I know that he's mostly as a kick returner and all kinds of stuff, but I think we should give opportunities to guys like Aubrey Thomas to return kicks and maybe give Richie James an expanded role. And you can mix it up. You can even rotate the slot spot too with him. Like he'll still get some increased playing time, but I think if you just put Richie James into the offense and you figure out ways how to use him, I think we'll be able to move the chains effectively good, and Debo will have a little breather, and then he'll do some jet sweep plays here and there, and then Ayuk's going to have his little opportunities here and there, you know?
Sure. Yeah. No, I agree. I'm with you on that. I'm with you there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, you know, good. It was a good time that you were on my stream that time, and, you know, I'm starting to get on my stream too here and there, but I'm going to start like in 2 weeks, on August 3rd, I'm going to be on the NFC West Roundtable, which I've been a part of for like a while, since like we haven't done one in a month, but we're going to have all fan base of the NFC West. You guys are more than welcome. The entire faithful, you guys need to come in my defense and support your boy, because, you know, you have to go to the AZ Sports Fans channel on the stream. Like, we just want more of that fan base vibe over there. So, you know, I'm trying to promote that type of content that I'm doing. I'm more than just Niners football. I like to mix it up here and there. So it's like
nice. So August 3rd, right?
Yeah, August 3rd on the AZ Sports Fan. He's a Cardinals fan, but he's promoted me on his roundtable since I guess for some reason I was just like out of the blue, and I didn't even know they were doing such a roundtable. And then he just reached out to me and say, "Are you interested in being a representative of the 49ers?" And I said, "Hell yeah, why not?" So I just got it at the right time.
Yeah, no, we'll definitely have to check it out. If you guys haven't watched CG, he does some really good stuff. I saw you recently with Larry Krueger. That was a nice interview that you did there. So give him a check out his page and you know, hit him up as a, subscribe to his channel and hit the like button over there too, because he's putting up some good stuff. So
yeah, you should be, I mean, maybe in the near future we can collaborate again on my stream or your stream. Don't matter to me, but hey, it's good stuff, man. As far as everything else, man, you're doing a spectacular job. I did share you under my community tab, so I'm pretty sure maybe you might get some people out there. But yeah, man, keep doing a good job, man. As far as everything else, man, I think I covered everything I was going to say. But yeah, just tune in for the NFC West Roundtable in the coming days or in August 3rd. If you guys want to check it out, I need more of that faithful in my defense.
That's right. So let's all make sure that we're there. And like CG said, go ahead and I definitely say jump on his channel. Make sure you subscribe to his stuff and like it. He does a great job, and we'll definitely be doing something here before the season starts.
Yeah, I'm on the road to 2K. I'm almost there, so that's kind of like insane.
There you go. You're almost to 2. I'm hoping to get to 1 here pretty soon. I'm at like about 170 away. So
you'll get there. You'll get there.
Yep, I will. Not. I'm sure it'll pick up definitely once the season comes around. So, looking forward to it.
All right, man. Take it easy, bro. Good stuff.
All right. Have a good night. All right. We got two more callers. We're going to go with Matt real quick. Matt, how you doing?
Hey, Jack. How's it going, man?
I'm good. What's going on?
I love hearing some of your perspective on historical Niner stuff, like old teams and whatnot. I always find that interesting. And I'm like 33, so like when you talk about the teams of the 80s and even early 90s, it's good to hear get somebody's perspective on that, because yeah, you've been around for the good and the bad. So
definitely.
here's my question, because this time of the year people are getting kind of bored, so they like to bring up a lot of you know things like Super Bowl 54, Super Bowl 47, and probably the NFC Championship game in 2011, right? Like those always seem to be like the three losses, which get a lot of chatter. But I want your perspective. What do you remember most about the 1997 NFC Championship loss? Because I was pretty young back then. At that I'm only I'm in my mid 30s, so I was young, but I remember we were rolling that year. I think we were like 13-3. We were the 1 seed, and then we ran into the Packers in the NFC Championship. And if I recall that game, it was like downpouring, right? And I think they beat us like 24-10 or something. But I was just curious, like that game doesn't get a lot of talk compared to like those other three games I mentioned. What do you remember about 97 the most?
You're right. That was a game that was it wasn't a downpour, but it had been raining a lot leading up to the game. And I think it was raining at the beginning, and then it kind of cleared up. But it was just a sloppy field. The 49ers were never really in that game. Green Bay kind of took it to them early on. They got up 10-0, and then they were up by was it 10 points at halftime or 13 at halftime, something like that. They really just dominated the 49ers throughout that whole game. The 49ers just couldn't get going, and I think a lot of that had to do with their running game at that point in time. It wasn't very, very stout. They were really kind of struggling through. I think in 97, if my memory serves me correct, Garrison Hurst had gotten hurt towards the end of the regular season. And so when they went into the playoffs, it was Terry Kirby was kind of having to be the starter. And Kirby had a really good game the week before in the divisional game against, I think it was the Vikings or the Giants, one of those two teams. Can't remember who it was. But they got into it was the Vikings, and when they got into the championship game, they just couldn't run the ball. They were one dimensional, and Green Bay was kind of at their peak of their performance at that point. They had won the Super Bowl the season before, and then we're heading back for their second trip. That wasn't a very good game for them overall.
Yeah, I remember.
The 49ers that year were a team that, they beat up on a lot of really bad teams. They got a lot of breaks throughout the season. Mm-hmm. It wasn't a really top level. They had a really good record, but you got to remember that was the season they came out and they lost week 1 to Tampa Bay, and got beat up in that game. And that's when they lost Jerry Rice. So they didn't have Rice in the playoffs because Rice had come back right before the second to last game of the season against the Broncos. He had made his comeback that night on Monday Night Football, makes the touchdown catch, re-injures his knee. So they didn't have Jerry Rice in the playoffs. They didn't have Hurst in the first round. He was kind of banged up. So, it just, they lost 44-9 to Kansas City in the second half. They had two bad losses at the end of the season, 44-9 to Kansas City and 38-9 to Seattle. The Seattle game was one of didn't matter because there was nothing going on with that one. But there was a couple of bad losses for them that season. They didn't have to play Green Bay throughout the regular season that year too. I think, which is what helped them with getting that home field advantage for that.
That's crazy. I completely forgot that was the year that Jerry Rice came back from an ACL. The same year he tore it, right? Was it an ACL?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I think so.
That's unheard of. Even in today's world, I mean, obviously, sports medicine's advanced a lot, but to hear a guy come back from the ACL the same year he tears it, you never hear about that these days. That's wild. But I guess it did make 1998 that much sweeter, and obviously we know what happened there. The crazy thing about 1998, I always think about, because you always see that game on TV a lot, like NFL Greatest Games. Isn't it wild to think about if they had replay back then, that play would have never happened and we wouldn't have won that game because it was very, very, very clear that Jerry Rice fumbled that ball. I think it was maybe the possession before in 1998. So it's just wild to think about how history could have been so much different if they had replay back then.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. No, they definitely they wouldn't that call would have gotten overturned. But at the same time, there were some plays throughout the game that you can't really. That's not really fair. But they had a couple of times there where T.O. had a really bad game and had some really bad drops as well. That really hurt them.
Yeah. Okay.
There was one where he had a drop, I think, on a third down right towards the end of the game. They had the lead, and he had a first down. Would have been a first down, and he dropped it. And that's when Green Bay, they had the lead, and they were kind of going down to hopefully ice it. And he had a drop on third down, and then Green Bay went right back down the field and scored, and that's why they had to come down and win it at the end.
Yeah. It was still an awesome game. I'll never forget that one.
Absolutely.
So, one question for you. Maybe a little bit oddball, and not even really sure how much you know about this team or how well you follow them. I'm sure, obviously, you don't follow them super close, but it seems like week one, we're already penciling in a win versus Detroit. From what you know about Detroit, what type of challenges do you think they could present for the 49ers in week one?
Well, they're really a team that's made some moves. I mean, they have some things up front on their offensive line. There's some guys up there that you could, that should, do a pretty good job of protecting the quarterback. Mm-hmm. I don't think they're necessarily as bad as 49er fans think. And this is a game that people shouldn't take so lightly because week one in the NFL can have some crazy things happen. I would if you asked me right now who I would put my money on, I'm going to put my money on the 49ers, but I wouldn't be really comfortable with doing that because week one is such a crapshoot in the NFL. Just like I said, you have just weird outcomes. Go back and look at some of the 49ers outcomes over the years, even on week one, or just throughout the league in general. I think that the quarterback's going to be okay. Their pass protection should be pretty good. They're going to be getting after it on defense, and it's going to be, I think, probably a little bit more of a difficult game than people think.
Yeah, and I mean, I've never been there, but I've seen some other games too where you hear a lot of people say that playing in Detroit is kind of a sneaky, tough road game. They say the atmosphere isn't always quite there. But considering we're coming off COVID, I'm sure it won't be like that. But I've always heard playing in that dome is kind of a sneaky, tough road game. So, yeah, we'll see how it goes. I always it just seems like everybody's chalking up the W. Maybe what your thoughts were on how they can present some challenges for us.
I just think, I agree with you.
Yeah. So. One other thing, just a couple guys, just to get your perspective. As far as rebound players. So for this year and guys who need a rebound, on McGlinchey, have you really heard much? Or I mean, maybe next week if you have boots on the ground, or other people from SI like Drainer there. Have you heard much about has he progressed with weight gain and stuff? Because it seemed like one thing that was really hindering him last year was his weight, and it seemed like in pass pro he had a lot of trouble anchoring. And I mean, there was plays I remember last year where he was getting bowled over on nickelback blitzes, and I remember some of the film breakdowns that you and Grant did on him, and just he was having so much trouble holding up in pass pro and anchoring. Has there been much chatter about has he progressed in the weight room, put on strength, or maybe added 20 pounds back on? Because I think that's going to be a big storyline is if he's improved in pass pro.
Yeah, I just wrote an article yesterday on previewing the tackles. Actually, it came out this morning for the 49ers for the season. And that's one of the things with McGlinchey is, he was only, I think, 295 last year was what he was playing at. And he's already put on about 15 to 20 pounds for the season. That was one of his goals was to put on some weight. He needed to kind of bulk up a little bit, and so he's spent that time and he's been successful at that. So, we're definitely going to see a bigger Mike McGlinchey in 2021, and hopefully that'll happen with his anchoring and things like you said.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be interesting to hear what some of the beat writers say about him when they see him in person for camp, if he looks stronger and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Then, a last question for you. So there's so much talk about wide receiver 3. If I had to hold your feet to the fire, who's going to win that job at wide receiver 3?
Mohamed Sanu.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, just because I would if you're holding me to it, and I've got to say that who's going to be, it's going to be a veteran guy that's performed a little bit, and they don't have anybody else right now that I think is at that level.
Yeah. So they do they normally hold about like 6 wide receivers on the roster? Is that typically the number, like 5 or 6?
It's usually around 6 is what they've been going with. So I would expect them to be at 6, and they may go 5.
Yeah.
The only way they go 5 is if they have a guy who's like an extra tight end who is kind of a tweener guy. So again, that goes back to the whole Jordan Matthews discussion. That's a situation where if they had a guy like Jordan Matthews, maybe you carry 5 receivers because you have a tight end that's is kind of a receiver at the same time.
Right. So it would be Ayuk, Debo, obviously, Sanu in your case, more than likely Richie James, and then the 5th guy would be like a battle between, I don't know, River Craycraft, Kevin White, and maybe Sherfield.
Trent and Juwan Jennings. Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be Ayuk. Right now that it's going to be Ayuk, Samuel, and Richie James Jr. Those 3, for I think you can pretty much write those guys in pen, in ink that they're going to be on the roster. So it really kind of leaves you with either 2 or 3, and so those other 3 are going to be, I would say, Sanu and Jennings, and then you're looking at Sherfield and Jennings. Those are the guys there. River Craycraft possibly. I think he's a guy who Kyle Shanahan really likes. So there might be, he can play special teams and so on. So that last guy that makes the roster on it has got to be a guy that plays special teams, which is I think part of why you look at a guy like Trent Sherfield and you say he's going to make the roster because he's played so much special teams in his career the last 2 years for Arizona.
Cool. Yeah, I know there's so much to always talk about Jalen Hurd, but Juwan Jennings is another guy. Like, we have no idea what that guy can bring for us. We haven't seen him play at all, so it'll be interesting to see how he does as well. But
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's all I really had tonight. Just a couple questions. So it was good coming on and talking to you again.
Yeah, it was great to talk to you as well, and I look forward. I know you were on here last week, so I look forward to talking to you again soon.
Cool. Thanks, man. Have a good one.
All right. You too. All right. So let's go over here. We got John. Hey, how's it going, John?
What's up, man?
Hey, how you doing?
Just grinding every single day. Grinding.
There you go. What's on your mind?
Man, after listening to all the great callers, shout out to Shardal. I agree, Buster Posey should be in the Hall of Fame, but that's a different conversation. We want to talk football. And I can't believe I'm going to say this because, apparently, I'm going to be a little bit biased, but, you, Grant, and a lot of your callers, attack Jimmy, a little bit hard. I understand, his flaws, but I can't believe I got to defend this guy. Week two, in 2020, Jimmy, suffers a high ankle sprain. He finishes the half 14 of 16. I think he had 1 or 2 touchdowns, and then he couldn't play anymore. But he basically, grinded through that first half with a bad ankle, and so I got to give him props because I've had an high ankle sprain, so I'm not gonna be an expert, but I was just walking and I suffered a high ankle sprain. That's not fun. All I'm gonna say is not fun. So then Jimmy comes back against the Dolphins. He's not 100%. high ankle sprains are about a 6 week, period, and then he plays really awful, literally really awful. And I'm not trying to give him an excuse because of the high ankle sprain, but that was stupid what Jimmy Garoppolo did. If he forced himself to go out there, if Kyle forced him to go out there, if the medical staff forced him, to go out there. So, I want to say that. At the time, the 49ers, when, Jimmy Garoppolo was able to come back and play, we were already out of the playoffs. We were out of the playoffs. We didn't have to rush Jimmy Garoppolo. We wanted him to be 100%. At the same time, there was concern that he could get surgery, and apparently he declined to do that. So I want to say this, that I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo is going to start the season on the IR. I think OTA showed that he was able to move really well with that ankle. He wasn't wearing that ankle brace. So I will say, when it comes to his health, I think Jimmy's healthy. When it comes to the Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo situation, again, if I'm biased, trying to defend Jimmy Garoppolo, because I really don't want to, but unfortunately there are people who have to get the true information. He's starting week 1, like it or not. If that pisses you off, unsubscribe me, stop following, don't even listen to my opinion. I will say this, and I'm going to get in serious trouble. Out of that building, Jimmy Garoppolo is not hated by any of the players. Okay? I'm not going to say who told me this, but I will say this. Everyone respects Jimmy Garoppolo. Jed York respects Jimmy Garoppolo. John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan respect Jimmy Garoppolo. And here in San Francisco, I was having a conversation with people who live at the former stadium. They like Jimmy Garoppolo. And it's so funny, and I hope I'm wrong, that it's outside the city of San Francisco where the hatred comes. I don't know, it's because of San Francisco and the rest of the Bay Area, very different minded when it comes to San Francisco. I will say this. Let's not rush the young kid. I've seen it with Alex Smith. That didn't go so well. Colin Kaepernick was really good. He lost his offensive scheme. He went down the drain. CJ Beathard, Nick Mullins, and Hoyer, 7 wins, 27 losses between those 3 guys. If Kyle Shanahan is a really great coach, those guys should have had a better record. Okay, when Jimmy Garoppolo is in, this is the numbers. I'm analytical. 53% of the time when Jimmy Garoppolo is playing in those 3 years where he qualified to play, he wins 75% of the time. When Jimmy Garoppolo is not playing, the other quarterbacks win 25% of the time. Those quarterbacks, Hoyer, Beathard, and CJ, excuse my language, suck. Okay? Now, Trey Lance, if he wants to take that job, he better take it. I'm going to say something else some people are not going to like, but, I'm getting sick and tired of it because I'm a 49er fan. I've never seen 49er fans act this way. Maybe it's because I started my YouTube channel, but I've never seen 49er fans have a Seahawks guy who covers the Seahawks who was on my channel yesterday. I even reposted a video when a Seahawks guy who covers the Seahawks says that he's more worried about Jimmy Garoppolo being on the field versus Trey Lance. Why is a Seahawks guy saying that? And then I also had a Rams guy, and I'm going to repost his stuff, what he said about Jimmy Garoppolo. He says the same thing. So my thing in my head, I don't understand. And I know you, and I'm gonna call you out. Hopefully, it's not gonna be kind of hard, but I think you're a little bit biased when it comes. I just gave you all the information about this stuff. I don't know if I changed your mind, and I probably not gonna change your mind, but I'm trying to understand what the thing about pushing this kid. It's not coming from the fans. The media is telling some fans who are trying to believe this. I'm just trying to understand the issue. So can you tell me what is the issue? Why you guys, and I'm saying the media, and in my channel, I trash the media. You guys are the media. I'm not the media. I just want to know what, Jimmy Garoppolo has done so bad. And there's a guy called Rumbo, and I'm going to say his name, Rumbo. I've never seen a guy love Jimmy so much. I don't know why, but he says that one throw made Jimmy Garoppolo the most hated person in the 49er empire. So I want to ask you, what has he done so bad that Trey Lance has to take over this job?
I'm going to go ahead and answer this. I'm going to answer this, and I'm going to jump over to the last caller. But the thing with the Garoppolo stuff, where the Garoppolo from the media, a lot of the, you don't really even have to look. That's not a media thing. Look at look at what their own organization has done. Look at what Kyle Shanahan just did 2 weeks ago. He told everybody in America that he wanted to get rid of Jimmy Garoppolo for Matthew Stafford. He's told everybody all offseason that he wants to get rid of Jimmy Garoppolo. He went out and they were talking to every quarterback that you can think of that was up. They had conversation with. They wanted to bring in Andy Dalton. He went to Chicago. They talked to Joe Flacco. He went to somewhere else. They weren't able to pull off. They dipped their toe in trade waters just to kind of see what it would take to bring in Teddy Bridgewater, Sam Darnold, those guys. And then on top of it, they went and they spent 3 draft picks, 3 first-round draft picks, and a third-round draft pick to draft a quarterback. So it's not the media that's telling you that they need to move on from Jimmy Garoppolo. Kyle Shanahan is the one that's been saying it, and he's been saying it all off season. He's been saying it really, since 20. Kyle Shanahan has never been a Jimmy Garoppolo guy. He's never been a big Jimmy Garoppolo guy. In 2018, he was telling you before the start of the 2019 season that if Jimmy Garoppolo didn't step up, that they would be replacing him with Nick Mullins. He told you that. He told you that in the preseason. He told you during the 2020 regular season that Nick Mullins is the smartest quarterback in the room. He tells you this stuff all the time, and it's if you want to see why people have their opinions of him, that all plays a part of it. I understand that Jimmy Garoppolo is a good quarterback and that he's won for the team. I understand all that, and that's one of the reasons why I don't rip him and I don't call out the fact that he didn't play at the end of the year and be like, Jimmy Garoppolo had a boo-boo in his ankle, so he didn't play. Nah, that's not my style. I've never said that about him. But I did say, in the middle of the season that they needed to move on from him. You could see in his play this season, he wasn't good. Jimmy Garoppolo in 2020 was the same Jimmy Garoppolo that joined the team in 2017. He was the same guy that was there in 2018 and the same guy that's there in 19. He hasn't progressed in his game at all, and his game is just good enough to get you by if he has a top-notch defense and he has a supporting cast around him. So that's my feeling on him. And is Trey Lance going to be better? That's their hope. He better be, because if he's not, Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch won't be around very long, and that's really what it is. And the reason I think people want to see Trey Lance play is they've seen a guy like Trey Lance and RG3 play a full season as a rookie for Kyle Shanahan in 2012. Saw him win 10 games and take them to the playoffs that season. They see a 49er team that they feel is better than that Washington team was in 2012 when you look at the guys they have on defense, what their offensive line looks like, and some of their weapons on the outside. And that's all of the reason why you're hearing so much about Trey Lance. And the cool part about it, John, is we're only a week and a half away from us not having this conversation anymore because, well, I shouldn't even say that, because we're going to have this conversation until Garoppolo is not a member of the 49ers. And you're probably still going to have that conversation for about a year or two after, unless Lance comes out and balls out. So, it's the fun part is we're going to see these guys on the field together, and there's going to be a lot of talk about the quarterbacks over the next month before the season actually starts in September.
You know what? I'm going to say this with all the respect. I think that's BS that you said. I've never, ever, ever heard Kyle Shanahan to the media says, Jimmy's trash. I don't want him. Kyle Shanahan.
No, he doesn't call it. He doesn't say he's trash. He doesn't say he's trash. He doesn't go to the media. He doesn't go to the media and say that he wants to get rid of him. No, He doesn't say that. Okay. But instead, he tells the media that he wanted to get he tells the media that he wanted to get Matthew Stafford. He tells you that he wants to move on from Jimmy Garoppolo without telling you his actions tell you that they want to move on from Jimmy Garoppolo. You don't spend the kind of capital they spent to bring in Trey Lance if you want to keep Jimmy Garoppolo. You don't do that.
Okay, you know what? Before you cut me off, I'm saying I've listened to a lot of Kyle Shanahan's comments. Why would he say Jimmy's our guy? Why would John Lynch says Jimmy's our guy? Why would they say that? Why would they say that? Here's something that I don't understand. It's really starting to frustrate me. And I'm seeing a lot of stuff on the chat. All right. Okay. You know, I'm just trying to get my head. In February or early March, John Lynch was in a podcast that I've never heard of before. He says that when Jimmy's not playing, we lose. And we do need a quarterback to make sure that if Jimmy goes down, to have that. I don't know how you're going to interpret that, but it is what it is. You know, I'm not even going to go there. Okay. You know, and I'm just trying to understand, what do they have to say to, you know, and they said it so many times, you know. I'm just trying to understand. Now, I'm not trying to justify Jimmy Garoppolo, etc. I'm not trying to give him a pass. I'm just trying to understand what I am not seeing. Now, I'm going to say something, and I know I'm going to be attacked by somebody, but, you know, Jimmy Garoppolo's not going to get cut or traded week 1. I'm not sure where this idea is coming from. And then at the end of the day, what's his name? John Lynch gave Garoppolo the contract. So why did he give him that money? We're all complaining about the money. We're all complaining about the money. I'm trying to understand. Jimmy did not say, I want $27.5 million for 5 years. That's what they gave him. It was the dumbest thing to do. I agree with that. And it's so sad that, you know, like, I don't know what, you know, like, and I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this, you know, I talk real. This is how I talk normal. And, you know, I'm not trying to have an argument with you. I'm just trying to understand the bias, you know, and there is bias. I'm sorry to say that, you know, like, you know, from our own fan base, bias exists. I know this. I've seen it, you know, so I know this stuff very well. I'm just trying to understand. But at the end of the day, it seems that you can't give me a good answer. And I'm being hit on it really hard by some of the people, because I've never heard Kyle Shanahan ever say that he's trying to move from Jimmy. If they wanted to do that, they could have done that. They could have done that. Why did they not do that? You know, they had so many opportunities to do that. Deshaun Watson, if he didn't have that, you know, crap that happened to him, you know, Sam Darnold, I understood, you know, way better. I'm just trying to understand what happened to those other quarterbacks. Why didn't they not bring them? So I'm just saying.
Yeah, as far as they've told you that they didn't, without actually coming out and saying it with their words. Their actions are telling you that, and the reason that their actions are telling you that, you're not going to go and spend the money that they spent on a quarterback, as far as your draft pick in 2021, your draft pick in 2022, your first round draft pick in 2023, a third round draft pick in 2022. You don't do that if you believe that the guy that you have a quarterback is the guy. I understand what you're saying, and I'm going to let you go because I got to get on these other guys. I still got to get my stuff finished with some of my kids. But they're not at a position to. John Lynch is not in a position where he wants to get rid of this guy. John Lynch is the guy who made the trade. John Lynch has a vested interest in trying to make sure that people feel like the 49ers want Jimmy Garoppolo, that they really are, that there's something there. Because if they know that they don't want him, it's a bad deal, because now you can't trade him. That's why we had this whole conversation, and I've had this conversation with Grant over on his channel. We had this conversation on the All 49ers Roundtable, that there's something going on within the 49ers, because you have John Lynch and you have the owner all talking about how they want to keep Jimmy, and they're fine, you know, giving Jimmy Garoppolo $27 million or $26 million, whatever his contract tells him that he's going to get, to be the backup. And at the same time, you have the head coach going on a podcast talking about how he wants to get somebody else in. You know, their actions with drafting the picks show you. You're not going to have I don't know, you know, as much as we want as fans for a front office person from any team to come out and just rip a player, that doesn't happen very often, especially with good organizations. So, that's where it is. I appreciate you coming on, John. I just it's 8:15, and I got to kind of wrap this up, and I got to get over. There's two more folks that I want to get to that have been holding on the line. You were held on really long too, but I want to get to them before I shut it out for the night. So I really appreciate that. Let's bring this up and let's chat with us again. You come back on next week, and if this is a topic, I'll definitely debate you on this one a little bit more. Maybe I'll have you come on my show and we'll do a separate show or something like that. But I appreciate you coming on, John, and I'm going to jump over to the next caller.
All right, man. Like I said, it's good to have good debates. It is what it is. Maybe I'm not looking at your way anyway. Peace out, man.
That's okay. Yep. Have a good night. All right. So I got two more calls I want to jump to real quick, and then we're going to be done. We got. I have not spoken with Pioneer before. I'm hoping I'm saying your name right. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Hello.
Do
Okay. How you doing?
It's not too bad. Just I'm glad the way you handled that last caller. You could have went any way with it, but he got the benefit of the doubt with you being polite and all. But as far as that last caller, that guy is delusional. I don't know what his YouTube channel is, but just based off him backing up Jimmy Garoppolo like that, definitely never going to check it out. Definitely never going to check it out.
That's.
I don't hate on him though. I don't hate on him. I get but I think he's going to be really amazed by how great Lance will be compared to his Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't see what people keep sticking to Jimmy for. I understand when he was talking about the injury, like how could Jimmy go in there and get himself injured like that? But it's football. This is not the NBA. This is not tennis. This is not a non-contact sport here. And the thing is that gets me upset about it is that they sit there and say that Jimmy's so great. It's like, if he's so great, then why is every play design is predicated to Jimmy's inefficiencies? It's one thing to be saying that Jimmy's so good because of the winning thing. But when you start saying, why do we hate him? What do you mean, why do we hate him? The dude never improved at all. We gave him all this money, and what has he really done? Like look at Trey Lance is doing right now. Trey Lance is developing chemistry with all these receivers right now. He's putting in the work to be a better thrower. He's not just going to sit there and be who he is and look pretty for the cameras. And these people like Rombo, I personally don't hate Rombo either, but it's like there's going to be a point where they see how good someone like Trey Lance is going to be. And when I even think that when Trey Lance does bad, let's just say if Trey Lance shows it, he has a couple bad games, we still, as a fan base, need to ridicule these quarterbacks. You never want to settle with he's okay. He's top 10. Even if he's top 10, I don't care. I'm still going to trash the guy. This is a team that is predicated to Montana, Steve Young. What do you think we're going to do to Jimmy Garoppolo? What do you think we're going to do to this guy? Of course he needs to get murdered. Why is anybody satisfied with all this trash players? I don't get it. How dare you guys try to sit there and say, well, you guys are mean to Jimmy. You guys are the media. Like, what do you think they're going to do? Have you heard of Montana? Of course they're going to do that. We don't settle for less. This is not a team of mediocrity. If you want to see a team of mediocrity, go be a Lions fan. Go to a team that doesn't have a Super Bowl. And then you tell me about mediocrity. Like what are these? Oh, it just bugs the hell out of me that people don't see what's in front of their face. Like even someone like Jeff Garcia got ridiculed so much, and Jeff Garcia to me, he was an underrated player. But at the end of the day, I don't want Jeff Garcia. I want an MVP. I don't want Kaepernick running forever until he gets exploited by the Ravens.
Right.
Even someone like let's just say like Richard Sherman. If Richard Sherman does bad in the Super Bowl like he did, a couple of plays that ended up, having us lose, we need to ridicule that player. We need people standing up and saying you were garbage so they can do better. Because if you're just going to sit there and let them handle it the way they want to, no one's ever going to get better. That's why I think I think Grant, I think Jesse off the top of my head, the Vish is another one. Oh my God. I really hope that when Trey starts, and I don't know who this guy was. Is it John Jay or something like that, right?
Yes.
You know, like John Jay, I don't mean to be so mean to you, but at the end of the day, someone needs to be mean here. And if you call me a mean person in the fan base, I don't care. I will never accept mediocrity at that position. And anybody who accepts anything less doesn't deserve to really be a 49er fan in my eyes. You can't just sit there and just accept Jimmy Garoppolo like that. The dude has been here for years and never developed a better throwing, not necessarily throwing motion, but his base. Dude can never stay on the damn ground when he throws the ball. Doesn't develop chemistry with his receivers. I don't even care about the deep accuracy. It's just, dude, you are a mess that never got better. And we gave you all this money to be something, and you never were anything. So, yeah, when Trey Lance takes the job, and my prediction, by the way, is that Trey Lance is going to start the week where we play the Bears. I think it's going to be Fields and Lance for his debut. A lot of people will say week 1, which I don't get mad about. I know that Trey Lance is better week 1. He's better preseason already. But the thing is, I just think that Trey Lance is going to come in with a boom. I think that Kyle Shanahan would want to introduce him to the Bears to show people maybe that he is a better pick than Justin Fields anyways. So I think that's my prediction for as far as when he's going to start. And goodbye, Jimmy. Goodbye, Jimmy. You wanted this. It wasn't us. He wanted this. And all you Jimmy stands out there, I think I said in a comment section one time, I called it Jimititis. It's Jimititis. That's what these John Jays suffer from. It's Jimititis, everybody in the comment section. Jimititis, the typical symptoms that you would see is people always talking about the Saints game, always talking about the Cardinal games. They typically would say something like, it was just off of one throw. You know, that's what they typically will say to you. That's how you know that these people are in they have a disease. Okay, people, don't get too mad at them. John Jay is not a bad guy. He just doesn't understand what the hell he's talking about. He has head up his ass, if you will. And Jimititis is one of the biggest head up your ass syndromes. But yeah, either way, thank you for everything you do as far as covering the X's and O's, because I know a lot of people out there, they get bored with it. But honestly, guys, if you guys don't pay attention to the X's and O's, you're an idiot yourself. You need to know that stuff. You need to know what the hell's going on here. There's times where I point out McGlinchey doing bad in the game, and there's Niner fans that don't understand what I'm talking about. I'm like, have you seen him flop? This is why we call him McFloppy here. You need to know what people are doing for the X's and O's, because if you don't, you're just going to be the basic level of a fan. You're going to be wearing a jersey, overcooking your meat on the grill, and not really understanding anything. You need to know what we're talking about, people. Support Grant Cohn if he says anything bad about anybody. That includes Kittle, that includes Fred Warner, that includes whatever how we have it. It's great. And Jack Hammer, everybody that's involved with this whole roundtable, you guys need to understand that when they ridicule somebody, you need to understand that you need to be a fan that expects that from them. And then when you guys want to accept something like Jimmy, understand that you have Jimititis, and you need to get rid of it quickly. A cure for it would be to listen to more Grant Cohn, listen to more Jack Hammer, more Jesse Naylor if you can for Last Second Sports. Just don't be an idiot. Don't have your head up your ass. And make sure that when you're a Niner fan, never accept mediocrity at the quarterback position ever in your lifetime. Till the day that you're dead, you need to say to yourself that your quarterback is garbage. Okay? Even if he's number one, you still need to say he's garbage. Until he wins you 4 Super Bowls or more, that's when you can at least say he was good. Okay? And yeah, I actually have one question, but I'm sorry I went on the rant there and went on the statement there.
Are you sure you have a question? Because so far this has been gold. Rack 'em.
Okay. All right. Well,
this has been the best.
I can't wait till I start mine. Yeah. This is unacceptable with this John Jay guy. I don't hate him.
No, John's cool.
He just suffered from the Jimititis, like I said. However, the honest question was a simple question. Honestly, it was about Tony Jefferson. Me and my boy have been talking a lot about Tony Jefferson. He believes that he's better than Tart already. I don't necessarily believe that at all. I do respect him as a player, though. He's a very physical player. I like that in a safety, obviously. But do you think that there's a chance that there could be a a free safety look in the defense in certain packages this year, or do you think that Tony Jefferson will just be a backup to whoever will be on defense?
No, you're going to see you'll see three safeties out there at times. They do that. They've done that quite a bit, in the last couple of years, anyway. So that could be that. Maybe Jefferson's going to be that third safety that comes in, because in the past it was, it would be Ward and Tart with the guy that got hurt. Blanking on his name right now, number 33. I'm talking about, had the interception in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
He'd be the third guy, and he'd come in and play free safety or strong safety, because Tart can play that deep safety as well. So, they'd play three safeties, and they did it even last year as well, without Tart. So yeah, they're gonna play three safeties, and you're gonna see these guys get moved around in different ways and stuff. So yeah, as far as to your question, yes, definitely you'll be seeing some free safeties out.
Okay, and now when I ask that question, it's not necessarily just based on package, but do you think they're going to fairly do it a good percentage of the time, or do you think it'll be a very small percentage based on just short yardage situation or something like that? Or what do you think?
It's what I've seen of it is, it seems like it's when they're going up against teams that are a little more pass heavy, where they get into certain situations where they know that they're, because they did it in the Super Bowl. In the Super Bowl, they're playing against the Chiefs. Chiefs are a team that they're more on the pass heavy side, so they're able to kind of put Ward down in the slot and not have to worry about the run game quite as much. So against those teams are when you're going to see it. You probably won't see it against a team like the Rams very much, or you're not going to see it a lot against the Seahawks, because those teams want to run the ball, right? So it's going to be more in the games against, think of the teams that are a little bit more pass happy. That's where you're going to see it. I'd have to look at a schedule, but if they go up against a team that's really throwing the ball a lot, that's when you'll see them try to employ that, where they take one of their linebackers and put him down, or one of their safeties, and essentially play him as a linebacker.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to take up too much of your time, man. I went on a complete rant there. That was not planned. I just heard him talk that rubbish. Al, what are you doing, dude? What are you doing up there? But just either way, all you Jimmy stands out there, your days are ending very soon. Thank you, Jack Arnold, for what you do. Just everybody that ridiculed Jimmy, I mean, you should trust them. Maybe they're saying it for a reason, But yeah, so just thank you for what you do. To the next caller. Next caller, don't be an idiot. Don't be defending Jimmy. I will be on here if I hear something like that again. I mean, love the show. Thank you very much. And everybody have an average night. Thank you.
Thanks, man. That was an awesome call. You have a great night too. As Pinor said, you better not suck, because you're the last caller of the night.
Okay. I was listening to everything. Wow, it's a fantastic show. You killed it tonight. I would say this. We don't have to forget that every sport is very emotional, right? Now, if you think of from the Jimmy's fan base perspective, 49ers, after Jim Harbaugh left, they sucked. That's the only word that I can put out there. And Jimmy comes in, right? Jimmy comes in. He takes you to the Super Bowl. Even I'm not Jimmy fan. I have written articles comparing him to the Jared Goff, what Jared Goff did with Sean McVay at Rams, and basically that's not Jared Goff's performance. It's McVay. The same as like Kyle Shanahan. We have talked these things 1,000 times over and over again. But still, when you have the emotions, and sometimes some player comes in, he gets the teams together and he wins it. He takes you there. That might not be the best player in the team, but he is the guy. At this situation, quarterback, Jimmy. So he is the franchise guy, franchise face. So he has the every trade, needs to be the franchise face. And remember, not the Jimmy fans the ones who marketed Jimmy to this level, it was the organization. It was Jed York, the mediocre owner. That's the word, not the mediocre quarterback. Mediocre owner. The number one franchise from 1980 to 2000, the highest number of winning percentage in the regular season to like 20th or 24th in terms of regular season winnings from 2000 to 2020. Only 6 winning seasons. From 2003, only 4 winning seasons. So that's the owner who marketed this guy. He is so like, okay, I'm bad guy. I mean, Lowell Cohn asked, okay, say something. And what was the answer? No, nobody fires the owners. Okay, fine. So he comes up with this answer. So that's the thing. So sometimes I'm really concerned when the fan base going at each other saying, okay, you are a Jimmy fan, or you don't know anything that you are talking about. I mean, we have to understand but where they are coming from. So let's be really honest among ourselves and try to understand why Jimmy became the hero, because there is for a reason. And imagine if we had Andy Dalton or some other backup quarterback by now, maybe this whole story would have been different. We wouldn't see Jimmy as the enemy. Right now, Jimmy is the enemy for half of the fan base. We wouldn't have seen him as that guy at this moment. So let's not forget that. That's one thing. Another thing I want to quickly talk about is who is really keeping Jimmy. I think it's Jed York, because I today I started to read Bill Belichick's autobiography, 2018 edition. So there he talks about when Robert Kraft drafted the guy, Bill Belichick, as the head coach. Belichick eventually wanted Tom Brady to start because he was tired with Drew Bledsoe. But Robert Kraft wanted Bledsoe. Luckily, or something, fate intervened and Bledsoe got injured, and rest is history. So I think it's like this. Kyle Shanahan is, every time he goes out there, he just throws his quarterback under the bus. I think even John Lynch, he knows this, but he plays a good cop role. Kyle is the bad cop, but I believe it's basically Jed York. Jed York wanted Jimmy, that's why he is on the team still. So we can't speculate. This is just a theory. I might be wrong. But to see the fan base getting divided like this, it hurts. Because it's an emotional sport. I would say that every sport is emotional, so we have to respect everyone. I don't think nobody is dumb, nobody is intelligent, because end of the day, we are not going to know what's going to happen. So that's all I wanted to say. But again, the show was great. It was on fire.
No, and I like what you're saying. I think there's a lot of you're talking about like the Patriots deal, and the role that the owner played in that whole thing. And I think there is a part of that happening here in San Francisco. There's a lot of times where there's the owner's got to kind of play two different sides. He's got to run his business, which is, making the money by selling the tickets and appealing to the fan base. He's also got to try to win football games. And sometimes, winning football games might mean getting rid of a guy that fans really like and having to take that risk. And that's kind of where the 49ers are now. They've taken that big risk. They put themselves out there. And whether they like it or not, they've risked a lot of capital to make this change. And, playing both sides of the fence at this point right now isn't the way to go. You've got to make a decision, you stick with it, and you build around whatever decision that you choose to go with. And they've chosen the Garoppolo's not going to be the guy that, at least, they did that as far as the draft goes. And I know that they're still saying that they support him, which they're going to say. You're never going to say that you don't support a guy until they really aren't on your team anymore, and then you can maybe be a little bit more truthful with the situation. But even then, you don't want to just come out and rip a player, because that doesn't look good if you're trying to bring in free agents. It's all about this balancing act, and I can understand to an extent why some folks would not understand what's going on with this whole situation, because you're right, and John was right, and you've had so many people in the organization say that they support Garoppolo, but their actions don't back that up. And when it comes to what a team does, you can listen to what they say, and you can but at the end of the day, watch what they do, not what they say. That's kind of the thing that I kind of always say. That's my kind of deal. So, the 49ers' actions are telling you they don't like Jimmy Garoppolo, or they're ready to move on from him. Their words are telling you different. Their actions, we're going to find out here what their actions are soon. And Garoppolo may be the starting quarterback for a short period of time in 2021. I just don't expect to be back in 2022.
Yeah, exactly. Because I asked the same question some time back. Let's assume if Garoppolo starts, from the history that we know, Alex Smith went through the same hard time. Alex Smith publicly said that he literally hated 49er fan base because 49er fan base booed him. Alex Smith wanted to play road games rather than playing at Candlestick. So we shouldn't do that to Jimmy, right? By any chance, if he starts, we all have to support him, right? Are we going to say, okay, Jimmy starts? I hope 49ers lose to Lions. Okay, I want Jimmy to start. No. It doesn't matter who starts. I want 49ers to win. That's it. Whether Kyle decides he goes with Jimmy at the start of the season or Trey Lance, it's up to him. I like Trey Lance to start, but doesn't matter that if Jimmy is given the starting role, then he should be the guy that we should get behind. We have sometimes, that's the requirement of the fan base. You have to be loyal. We have to question them. At the same time, we have to be loyal. We have to be blind. We have to be faithful. That's our duty as a fan base, not as journalists. As journalists, yes, I true. What Grant is doing, that's why I like Grant. He said to me when I asked question, where do you draw the line when it comes to criticize Jimmy G? He said to me point blank, the question that you asking me, ask from the fan base. I'm a journalist. My job is to criticize it. Evaluate Jimmy on the performance. So don't ask the question from me. Ask it from the fan base. So I'm asking all the fans over here. Draw the line. Make sure. I'm saying it. I don't like Jimmy. But if we start week 1, go Jimmy. That's it.
Yep. I agree. 100% agree with that. And yep. And I had a question here too. Was your phone was going off there? Was
Sorry.
Grant?
Sorry about
Was that Grant getting back from his vacation texting you to make sure you were getting your next article in on time?
Actually, Grant was saying, don't talk too much, don't reveal too much information on Jack. I don't like where Jack is going. He's getting more popular than my own phone. So, sorry, I wasn't supposed to say that. No, forget. No. I never got it.
Well, don't worry. Nobody's watching. Nobody's watching.
Yes.
Nobody watches this stuff.
Yeah, let's delete this.
When do you have your next article coming out?
I think I actually submitted the article. Grant is supposed to edit it and publish it. I think it might be a controversial one, based, on Richard Sherman, CD and stuff. And I'm writing another one too.
Okay, so we're gonna be hearing. We'll be seeing it here pretty soon then.
Okay, sure. Yes.
Awesome.
Okay. Thanks a lot for having me, even at this late time.
Oh yeah, no, you're welcome. Hopefully my internet connection doesn't fail me now. But I appreciate you coming on, Varuna, and I know you were on earlier waiting to get in, and then you called in, so that was awesome. And you definitely did a good job. You definitely followed through, like Pinor said at the end of his call, don't suck. You definitely did a good job of not sucking, and it kind of bringing the whole show to a close on a positive note. So I appreciate that.
Oh, okay. Okay. Good night.
All right. Thank you very much. And I'm gonna go ahead and you have a good night. Okay.
Okay. Bye.
All right. Bye bye. All right. So on that, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. This was a lot of fun. Definitely went a lot longer than I think any of us had expected. But it was great. We had some really good calls. We had some fun calls. We had some good debating calls, and then we had Pinor come in at the end, and he was just that was 1990 sports talk radio at its finest right there, just on fire, going and going and going. I didn't even have to say anything. He went on his own. Just a great call there, and then Waruna to wrap it up with kind of putting a bow on that whole thing with about Jimmy and Trey Lance. So as Pinor said, it's all about the X's and O's. So definitely make sure you keep tuning into my channel, because there's going to be a lot of that coming up here pretty soon. And so I'm pretty sure that most of you that are on here are already subscribed to my channel. But if you're not, if you like the content that you see on my channel, subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification so you know them are coming on, and we'll definitely be back. There's no Hammer and Nail show this Thursday, but keep it locked into my channel, because there's going to be something that's going to be coming up. I'm not going to let Thursday go by without a show of some sort. So have a great night, everybody. Really appreciate y'all joining in and doing this for almost 3 hours with me. Have a great night, and we'll be back at you soon. Take care.